Cup champions. Celtic way, wait for the ball from side to side, and until they try to hide, the wait for the ball from front to back, attack, 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 67, and then he's a Lisbon, the buzzing and a thousand.
Good evening and welcome to Celtic Rumours TV, episode number 145, the Bawz and Bovril podcast. With myself, Mark, tonight we've got Big Jerry joining us. Terence might be coming on later on, and Bobby might be coming on as well. We've hit 800 subs, I noticed just before we went live. So we've hit the 800 sub mark. So thanks very much to everybody that subbed to us. We really appreciate that. We thought it took us years upon years to get anywhere near these kind of numbers. So we really do appreciate everybody that subs in and listens in. The links to everything's in the description box below. To our Discord, our forum and everything. Everybody's more than welcome to join in on stuff like that. We're into our 7th year now collecting for the local Hamilton Food Bank. So the link for that's in the description box as well. I think we've nearly hit the £500 mark in it already, so that's fantastic to everybody who's chipped in there. We appreciate that as well. Dave, we shout-outs and that. Obviously, Paul's still on the injured table. Terence is maybe coming on. Old Tim Malloy, Richie, a Glasgow Green, Mikey. And a wee shout out to one of the guys that used to post in the forum, Tompo88. Just been heard before we come on here that he lost his dad on Saturday there. So condolences, Tompo. I know that's how tough that is, mate. So we're all rooting for you that you get through it all right, mate. And God bless you. And RIP your dad, son. Who have we got in already then? Liam, nice to see you again. Liam, Brian as well. Martin, nice to see you, Martin. Drop bags, nice to see you, hen. Well, we'll just go. Absolute gutted with that performance last night, Jerry. What do you think?
Oh, doesn't begin to describe it, buddy. Normally I'd get back and watch the highlights after watching the game, and I couldn't be bothered. Just turned the TV off and went to my bed and thought to myself, where do we go for here? Don't know how to begin to sum it up. Obviously, we all know it was never a sending off. Never in a month of Sundays was it a sending off. But we need to stop complaining about the way teams operate against us in Europe and maybe start doing it ourselves. We're always mumping and moaning about now players rolling about and the way teams act and all the rest of it. I think it's atrocious the way some of these teams act, but we can't keep being naive. I think we need to screw the nut a wee bit and start doing it ourselves. I mean, I
wouldn't like to see us going the full extent and be like we see Atletico Madrid that way. I put it in the live chat last night. I could be a bit cooter about things.
Aye, definitely. It's a wee bit more streetwise, but I mean, the way they roll about and all that. I mean, when you've seen their manager and half the bench rushing off trying to get somebody a card, you've seen it before. Before that, there was an incident, and you've seen Simeone try to gesture to get somebody booked. I think that's pathetic and I can't stand it. But
I can't stick that.
I hate it, but see, at the end of the day, see if it's going to help us progress. I know you never want to stoop to these teams' levels. You want to be above them. But we can't keep complaining time after time after time that all these teams are doing the exact same things and we do nothing about it.
It's just, and it is because, I mean, it's just we did. Evening, Michelle, thanks for coming in. Pulse Boy, nice to see you again, mate. The way, it's not just Celtic fans that look at these other teams that play that way. Everybody else outside these teams, even other teams that play that way, going about other teams that play that way. At that level, as you're saying there, Jerry, is it just something that part and parcel of the game at that level, and we need to try and work into using it to our advantage the way some other teams do. As I said, I don't like to become a pure scumbag team.
No.
But just be a wee bit more cuter. If there is a touch on you in the box, you maybe get doing a bit easy, but if you're still getting touched, you're still a foul. And if that goes to VAR, the ref's going to see that the defender or whoever's touched you and made you get down.
I mean, I used to think when you seen some of these players rolling about the ground and all the rest of it as if they'd been shot, and then 2 seconds later they're sprinting for a ball, you'd be thinking to yourself, really, get a grip. But you would be hoping that the referee would be kind of wise to it as well and realise, well, he was all right. He was lying down 2 seconds ago and now he's running for a ball. The next time that kind of happens, he's not going to be naive.
Granted, I even noticed the other week, I can't mean who we were playing, but it was in Scotland. It was a Scottish game, I'm sure. And it was like it was a head knock. But it wasn't a bad head knock. But the guy was refusing to gaff. But after lying there, he'll take the treatment, but he was refusing to gaff to get put back onto the pitch.
I know. It's not as bad obviously in Scotland. It's more Europe. You notice these things. I mean, when you start to get the foreign influx down south, you notice that you're always screaming at them, rolling about the ground and telling them to get up, and you know what to be associated with that. But it's becoming more and more. I mean, look. Take the weekend, for example.
You old enough to remember? It was Klinsmann that kind of brought it into the English game. Do you know what I mean?
Celebrations, he used to do the diving bit and all.
Aye,
rub salt the ones. But look at the weekend. O goes up for that challenge and they're blown for a free kick. It's going to end up a non-contact sport. You can't touch him there, or they're going down. We'll start off with a goal. I mean, that's another thing that's come in for Europe series, that keepers want to punch the ball instead of just catching it. You're looking for your keeper to come out and catch it, especially the height that was at, and he punches it out rather than just catch it. Takes the pressure off his defence and lets us regroup and start again. Punches it out, and then we lose an unfortunate, a decent strike. You could be a wee bit critical of Hart getting down.
McGregor could have done better as well with the head out right enough.
The ball's been knocked into a silly area. It's a dangerous area it's been knocked back into. But then I was critical a couple of weeks ago of David Marshall, watching him. I think it was against the Monkeys with some of the not getting down early enough. I know that ball was going away from Hart, but I thought to myself, could you maybe I got that? I know it's hard. I was looking at behind goals and you're armchair fan. It's easy to say, I used to got this or should have done that.
But is that the age thing coming into it again? Just at that age, he's been out of I keep saying he's been out of tipping point. Like McGregor done out of Ibrox. I mean, he was pulling him out of this, but he pulled him out of the mire for years with his saves and that. But it was a massive, massive drop off for him. Do you know what I mean? I think Hart's the one that went the same way.
Listen, we all know that Father Time catches up, and you can't stop it when it catches you. It catches you. He's doing fantastic. But last night, when we're getting battered for pillar to post, you were just waiting for that 70 million to come off the bench and pull you out a hole. But it never happened. You think yourself, see, we spent some of that money on a decent keeper and need a left back and a striker. Where would you be? Rather than having that 70 million sitting in the bank, looking fantastic. It's no use there when your team in the park's getting hammered. These results in Europe can happen. They can mean, look, over the years with PSG and Barca and all the rest of it. Some of the teams, Roma, even took a doing. But last night, the minute Maida went off, we all kind of feared the worst. It was backs to the wall, and then white flag was out.
Because, I mean, Maida's... He is, evening Mark McDonald, thanks very much for coming in, nice to see you. It is, I've said it before, he doesn't really add much, but what he does add is he keeps the opposition defence on their toes. He's always an out ball there, he's always harassing them and stuff like that. So for the football side, it's no a big loss to it, but tactical wise, it's a big loss to lose Maida so early in the game.
Definitely.
As you said, after that, it was an uphill struggle all night, and I mean, again, McGregor, I thought McGregor was really, really, really poor. I don't know.
I was actually surprised, not surprised, I was actually pleased to see him getting subbed. I thought to myself, it's no before time, but it was, I know it sounds daft saying it, but I was glad to see him getting subbed, because I think myself, well, maybe he'll realise that he does need to pick his game up a wee bit. But it doesn't help the way... We know that he's not a defensive mid. We know he's not in
I know.
playing teams like that year. We were going over there. We were all. I was started to buy into the nonsense of we were due a good European win and all the rest, or a victory over Bay. And I was hoping for it, but it was always going to be a tough ask going over there because regardless, they're a good team, so it was always going to be a hard game. So I don't know if I don't know how Rodgers and that will be feeling this morning. I think he was going to he'll see that we have made improvements in Europe. However, we've got a long way to go before we can think again over to places like that and compete. The other thing is, we've been rotten for decades now away from home in Europe. We've had a decent win here and there, but by and large, we've been poor.
Oh, I mean, you're going back to Gordon Strachan times. Last time we actually done it, well, obviously we beat Barcelona with Lennon and stuff, and Lennon goes to the last 16, but they were kind of shocks, to be honest, you know what I mean? But
even in
Neil's
teams,
but I keep getting back to Jerry is, it used to be a fortress, Parky.
Aye.
You know what I mean? And it's not like that anymore.
No, it's a carnival.
Evening, Greg. Evening, nice to see you.
It's teams look forward to coming playing at Parkhead. It's a good experience and all that, and I get the good chance that some of our fans will clap them off the park if they play really well. We should be wanting them to come there, or wanting to come there shitting ourselves. No looking forward to coming there.
Aye.
But
and I've said this before in the podcast, and I don't know, people maybe be a bit upset about it, but for the actual hostility atmosphere for European games, Ibrox put Celtic Park to shame.
Oh, I couldn't praise them for anything, Greg.
No, but I'm actually praising them for being nasty. If you get what I mean. I'm not wanting to go full on Turkish the way the Turks and that carry on, but it's just saying it's like a carnival when they come to Celtic Park. It's all a great atmosphere, I love playing there. You want players to say it's something atmosphere and it's good playing, but it's scary. You want them to be like that. You want them to, and that's what I mean. I think players take into the Ibrox atmosphere and it makes them apprehensive. And so I can't, because I honestly can't understand why they've had the results in Europe they've had, and that's maybe what I put it down to.
I can't say that I've watched an awful lot of them in Europe, but some of the results they've got, Mark's unreal.
Aye.
And they can't just be jammy all the time. I mean, I know they're not a good team. They aren't a great team, but I don't know. They're 11 men behind the ball, but it works. They've got to 2 European finals in the last however many years. I don't know. It's one of the ones. Are you happier going with 11 men behind the ball and doing something, or are you happy trying to play football and get beat? That's the thing.
Did Martin O'Neill and Gordon Strachan go 11 men behind the ball? I know we're getting back 20 year time and football's changed a lot, but I'm just be a bit more pragmatic. Even if it is tweaking the formation and going 4-2-3-1 or whatever, something, and get a proper CDM in there beside McGregor.
Yep.
There's got to be. I mean, the money. Even before we actually get deep into the kind of side of the money, even in Greg, I don't know if I said it all right to you. Nice to see you again, Greg. But surely Brendan Rodgers has got the tactical know-how to even tighten things up and still have that. I mean, it's like we used to use Samaras as our out ball. You know what I mean? Because he was big and he had a bit of pace about him. Well, Magida, he's not big, but he's got a bit of pace about him. So that could be the out ball if you're just to keep it tight. And do you know what I mean? It's just, I don't think we're that far away from it, but I think it's down to the tactics. And as we said, a couple of players could make all the difference in the right positions.
Well, see, that's the thing. We're talking about tactics and formations. Has he got the players that he wants to play the formation that he wants? Now, we said at the pod the other night, we were hoping they would throw a curveball with the formation and the setup. I mean, 4-3-3 is fine for playing at home, but playing away from home in Europe against a team like that, it's a big ask. We would have to have been perfect. And they would have probably had to have an off night for us to actually do something away from home. But if we maybe throw a curveball, we're playing the 3-5-2 or that the 4-2-3-1, it'd have gave them something to think about. But they opened up the way that we opened up against them. They went from the first whistle. It was Harry, and they knew how they were going to play. We were a wee bit too slow and getting the ball under control.
And as I said before the other night, Griezmann, as I said that one here the other night to you, didn't I?
A wonderful player.
Aye.
He was everywhere. He was left, right, up front, tracking back, defence. He's a wonderful player.
I mean, we're never going to get a player of that calibre, but for me, that's the type of player that we need to kind of try and sign, like a Lubo. Like, I mean, last night, Kyogo. What did Kyogo do?
He wasn't the only one, but no, he was.
No, but I know, but I mean, see if you go and put somebody like Henrik Larsson in that game, he'll come looking for the ball. And do you know what I mean?
Aye, try to make things happen.
Aye, Kyogo doesn't come looking for the ball to hold it up, and that's what you need at that level as well. Because if you're getting the ball up to their in and about their penalty box, you're waiting. You need somebody who's going to hold it up to let the midfield come up to support you, because they've been back defending, so they need to get up the pitch. And Kyogo's that's just no part of his game. Evening, Des. Nice to see you again, mate. Thanks for coming in.
I know that the other night you had said that you had quite fancied O, and I think a couple of other folk in the chat had said that O would be a different alternative because might even Bobby be talking about Witzel, how he's not a centre half. I was hoping maybe Kyogo would pull him out, but Bobby was saying no, it maybe be better for O to be out ball to hold it up and bring us into the game. It's all ifs, buts and maybes now, but it's got to be a lesson learned, and it's got to show our board exactly where we're at and how we improve.
Just when I talk about Joe Hart, did you see? I don't even know what goal it was. It was that many of them. The one that he tried to save when he was actually in the goal.
Aye. I think it happened twice. He was in the goal. Aye.
That's really, really poor.
Yep. I know.
The one I've seen, it would have been easier for him to go and actually try and block the angle of the shot, but he's went back the way and he's in the net. And I mean, we say it every week. We need a new number one.
Aye,
and I'm not putting all that blame on Joe Hart last night either. Do you know what I mean? Because we could name umpteen players that didn't have great games last night. I even thought Carter Vickers was poor last night.
There was none of them. It was one of the nights. I think you just need to write it off and say, look, it was a bad night all round. We've got two other games. We're not got it. We just need to try and show up and do our best in them, and just put last night as a bad night. But
Mikey Johnson and James Forrest on the wings.
No thanks. No thanks.
Palm was banned, didn't he?
Aye. But
you didn't ban.
I know. But you're hoping.
So James Forrest will be starting their next European game. And I wouldn't surprise me if he scored. There, I'll say that. It would not surprise me in the slightst if he scored.
Aye. Oh, no. Well, best of luck, hopefully. But no, for me, well, obviously, the boys that came on, I mean, I've seen people saying about the substitutions at half-time. What did you think of him yourself? I thought Matt O'Reilly was a bit leggy. He just looked kind of off the boil last night.
He wasn't like doing what we kind of expect, trying to kind of stamp authority on the midfield, but
no. They had done their homework on us, that's for sure.
The red gear was a massive part of it. It was, but I mean, I gave them their due. They'd done their homework and they kind of knew exactly how we were going to set up and how we were going to play.
Aye.
Evening, Bobby, 1962. Thanks very much for coming in again, mate. Nice to see you, pal.
They were over the moon when Maeda got that sending off, and rightly so, because they knew with his pace and getting down that wing and the out ball he is for us is a fantastic asset. There was one that nearly get slipped through. It was like I think their centre half had made a great sliding tackle to stop the ball going through. But it's the same old. We could go right through the whole team. After the sending off, it was backs against the wall.
Shell saying, think it's time to just concentrate in the league, fuck the Champions League. I've said that for years as well, and I'll watch my language because obviously Rockbag is sitting in this Shell's a female, but it's Celtic now, because fans are like that, but think of the money, so Celtic just like some old prostitute that just turns up, does what they need to do to get paid and then goes away home and forget about it. Because it's all right getting these millions and millions, but we're sitting with £70 million in the bank and we're sitting there knowing how desperate we were for players. But would any excuse me, any sitting listening there, would you have moaned if he'd went out and the figures came out and says, well, we've only got £50 million in the bank, but we bought that Croatian goalkeeper and we bought that Tetty.
Yep.
That's shite. We should have kept that money and kept it in the bank.
No,
come the end, these next figures, and I don't doubt we're going to win the league and get this automatic place next season. And that's 8 games. We'll get 8 games next season in the Champions League.
Yep.
It goes on to January. And we're going to get serious amounts of money for being in it, but
what use is the money if you're not going to put it into the team? That's the thing.
There's no point at all. I really can't understand that.
No, it's sitting looking at the bank's not going to help the team progress. Them over the road have always kind of they would have spent every last penny they had, and obviously you don't want to get doing.
They'd have 70 million in the bank, but spend 80.
Yep, you're not wanting to get down that route. However, you're not asking them to spend every single penny, but just show a level of ambition. We can't keep signing. Listen, it doesn't matter how much a player costs, it's always a gamble. But we can't just keep signing £2 or £3 million projects and hoping that that's going to be enough to try and help us progress in Europe. Because it'll probably be enough to win us the league. But if that's going to be our level of ambition, then I think the board really need to kind of wake up and realise that we have got the chance to do something. No, I'm not saying go away, but you want to try and get into the latter stages after Christmas at least to try and push the team on a wee bit.
We'll see after next season with this automatic qualification thing. I think the year after that we're back to like the winners of the Scottish League need to qualify. That's us back there in the Maya. Do you know what I mean? And me and Terence were talking earlier on. And see, once that coefficient goes down to a low start place, I'll be surprised. I honestly will be surprised if we ever see a Scottish team in the Champions League again, unless the coefficient thing goes up, or we get a really, really lucky draws in these kind of qualifiers that we'll need to get into.
Aye, I'm no 100% on that coefficient stuff, but it comes back to, see if we're winning a few games and putting on points on the board, it's boosting the coefficient again. So it's increasing our chances of getting back into it automatically. I think it's levelled out after, is it every 5 years it's done?
Aye.
And it's all teams in Europe. But it's only going to help our own cause by investing in the team and try to get extra points on the board.
I think next season, I think it's the end of January the Champions League runs to.
What, the format for next year?
Aye. So, you don't drop, there's none of this dropping down to the Europa League or anything like that anymore.
No.
That's all out the window. You play 8 games and I'm not actually sure where it works after that. As soon as I just saw that the day, I thought, oh God, man. Imagine 8 games you last. Oh.
I don't know if I was a fan of that.
The sickener was heavy last night, but wasn't it? Because we thought the last couple of games against Feyenoord, Lazio, even against Atletico Madrid, we were just that away. We were unlucky, but even though we weren't outplayed, we weren't smashed. But last night was just, and you can't take away from them. They are a great team. They'll beat better teams than us in Europe this year. Do you know what I mean? But it was just actual. I just even watching the players on the park, it was just as if they kind of knew. I don't know.
The heads went down. It's definitely after the third. That was it, man. The heads were right down. I mean, we were wanting to go in at half time, 1-0 down at most. Try and regroup and go from there. But that second goal when they scored it, just what they did just before half time was an absolute sickener. But then to come out, no last any length of time, and you're 3-0 down. It's that was it. The heads were dropping, and I know it's hard. There wasn't any of them there trying to take the game by the scruff of the neck or doing much. You were fearing the worst.
Going back to McGregor, do you think McGregor? Do you think he's a good captain?
See, I'm a massive McGregor fan, and I think
is that weighing down on him?
Well, I don't see why it should. I mean, I think he's a good professional, and I think he'll be on the training field and in the change room. I think he'd be a big voice, and I think he'd leads his life correctly and trains correctly. So I think in that aspect, aye. But the days of captain, but the days of like your captain like Roy Keane scheming and shouting and flying into tackles, that's done. You've not got the kind of captains anymore. Even Brown, the way he was.
Paul McStay. That's what I'm trying to. But that's what I'm trying to touch it. Paul McStay wasn't flying into tackles and stuff like that. But it's like if Celtic are struggling, McGregor for me, he shrinks into himself rather than try and drag the team on. I think. Right. And starts pointing at other. He doesn't do much himself, but he's pointing at other players what they should be. Do you know what I mean? That's that kind of thing. I don't think he kind of on the park when the backs are against the wall. I don't think he leads by example.
Yep.
Maybe he is. No. Maybe he's never, because he's always been that nice guy. Maybe he's never, because I mean McStay always had the kind of arrogance, but he was confident enough to shout when players weren't pulling their weight and stuff like that. Is McGregor like that really?
Nah, I don't think so. Totally different player. They couldn't lace McStay's boots if we're honest. But I don't know. I mean, who else would you have as your captain? Hart, Vickers. There's no other really ones that you would say. I mean,
he really only got it through, like, obviously, like the old pals act. You know what I mean? Because he was there so long and stuff like that. And I just whether it's because, as I've said, you still there, Jerry?
Aye, listening, mate.
I don't know whether it's for Brown left or whether if he became captain or something, but McGregor, he's just not been the same player for me. And this season especially. Mm-hmm. I mean, last season you could see he was kind of dwindling down, but you put that again down to the amount of games he plays. Yep. But this season he's not looked apart at all for me.
No, he's kind of the start of the season. He wasn't firing in all cylinders. Then they went to Ibrox.
Great, he's a great footer, especially the first half. There,
a great game. And then you're thinking, right, this is it. He's just going to kick on, but he's blown hot and cold since. And I know that was it Mikey or somebody was saying about him how he plays for Scotland. He's outstanding, but the players he's got around him at Celtic aren't too bad either domestically, and he's still been struggling. I mean, O'Reilly, Hatate are decent players to have round about you domestically, and he's still been struggling. But I don't know if it's formation or legs or what. But
it's just definitely no clicking for him to know. Do you know what I mean? I'm not writing McGregor off. He's just going through a bit of a lull. Do you know what I mean? The amount of games he does play, you can't fault the guy for it. But it's just maybe it is a time for him just to have 2 or 3 weeks just sitting.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Do you take him at the firing line for a couple of games, or because he's your captain and everything else, do you want him to try and play through it? That's the thing.
See, that again, that comes down to like his character, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. As I say, you could knock the player. Not necessarily saying him, but it could knock a player's confidence if you do try and take him at the firing line. You say, right, look, we're going to give you a couple of weeks rest here. If you're needed, you'll be gone. But failing that, we'll give the others a chance. Or Rodgers might say, look, I know that you're no firing on all cylinders now, but you're a captain and I believe in you. I'm going to leave you in there now to see how you go on. But I don't know. But normally, I thought Rodgers' tactics are not substitutions are normally not too bad, but last night after the red card, I was expecting him maybe to tweak it or change it, or maybe make a sub.
There Martin saying that as well.
I can't
Why
see the
did
clock.
Rodgers make the minute the red card?
Aye. I mean, he's done it before. Previously, when he was here with red cards against us and for us, he's changed it straight away. But last night, I don't know. It was weird, definitely weird. But hey ho, there's not much we can do now. We just need to look onwards and upwards to the next couple of games and see what happens.
Well, they're Des want to come on for a wee while.
Aye, good. Get Desi boy on.
There you go, Des. Just click that and I'll get you on. That was that Shell saying. To be honest, I think it all comes down to the style of play under Brendan Rodgers. Cam McGregor, AJ, CCV aren't the same players under him. AJ's a bit off the boil as well. I agree with that as well. Aye.
Definitely. We've said that before. Since he's come back, he just not looked the same player. Vickers is still coming back after quite a long layoff, so there's time for him. But I still think we're moving in the right direction. And I'm still happy with the appointment. It's only one defeat, and as we've said, Atletico are going to beat better teams than us and better equipped teams than us. We just need to move on.
Hello, Des, you there?
I'm here, yes.
Thanks very much for coming on, Des. Nice to hear from you, pal.
No bother.
Now, what was your take on last night then?
Well, I was lucky enough in it. I don't have BT or TNT or anything like that, so I didn't get a chance to watch it. Tried to watch the highlights this morning, but it's pretty hard to take. But it's just my view is, I mean, Rodgers is not a new manager to Celtic. He's managed Celtic in a lot of European matches, away matches. And why does he think that this present team, like his last teams, can go to places like Madrid and play 4-3-3? How can we play an expansive game like that when we're not getting results away from home? Can Rodgers not play a defensive system at all? Is it beyond his managerial capabilities? I really despair year after year where we're going in Europe. We're the absolute whipping boys. I mean, Simone, I seen an interview with him on Monday, and he knew exactly how we were going to play. Yeah. Rodgers, just like Postecoglou last year and the year before as well, cannot change his setup away from home in Europe. It's all right. I want to go to Parkhead and see it. Go at these teams like we did against Atletico a couple of weeks ago. But away from home, we just can't play that way, especially when you lose a goal after 6 minutes.
Well, great points, that Des. As I've said before, but Rodgers failed the last time he went toe-to-toe with Barca, toe-to-toe with PSG and stuff like that. Yep. And, I mean, it got to I know it's only the lower level of Europe, but it got to the Conference League semi-final or something for Leicester. So I thought maybe he's learned a bit, because it'd be learned, I need to be a bit more pragmatic, and especially away from him in Europe, to get to progress with Leicester to that level. But I mean, last night it was just as bad as ever. Really, it really was. Right. And I put a lot of I do put down to the tactics in Rodgers. I really do. And Ange was just as guilty as it, as you said. You know what I mean? Ange was just, he'll go, it doesn't matter, he wouldn't deviate from what he wanted today, and he stuck by his guns, and we took some sore ones with that as well.
Yeah.
You're spot on, Des. We said that the other night. See, by not changing your tactics and throwing curveballs and changing it up, you're doing the other team's team talk. They know exactly how you're going to set up, exactly how you're going to play, and you start playing into their hands. So it makes your job a lot harder.
Just change it up, as you guys are saying, every now and again. Go, maybe, I'm not saying go 2 up away from home, but even the way we play in Scotland, we sometimes struggle in games, but maybe go to Ibrox, play 2 up front or something like that. But I mean, you're just wondering where are we going in Europe? I mean, after the transfer window in the summer there, what to me was an absolute disaster. To me, you're only looking at Palma that might break into the team.
Yep.
The rest are they're probably good professionals, good young players, but they're not going to take us anywhere in the Champions League or the Europa League. And I mean, do the board not have any European ambition at all other than qualify for the Champions League and bank the money? I mean, why Celtic feel the need to have £70 million in the bank? I just can't get my head around it. I really can't.
It looks fantastic in the bank when your team's getting battered for pillar to post in the park and everybody's laughing at you.
Yep.
I'm 100% agree with everything you've said, Des. It makes no sense to me whatsoever to have all that money in the bank, but yet you're getting pumped all over the place. None of, as you said, the signings in the summer, apart from Palma, none of, maybe Yang will progress and get there, but none of the rest of them are going to take us on to that next level. And you always hear the old cliche, every manager saying they want to come out the transfer window stronger than went into it. But I don't honestly think that we can say that for the last couple of windows that we've come out stronger, and definitely not to the level that we're going to progress in Europe, which is what every one of us are screaming out wanting to do. The league's fantastic and it's our bread and butter, but we're wanting the team should be gauged in how they do in Europe. And right now it's not great.
Very good. I mean, I thought I didn't want Rodgers back at Celtic, but that's by the by. He's back and he's our manager. But I would have thought, seeing this summer, Rodgers' his two first questions when he was approached by Celtic would have been, one, how much are you going to pay me? And two, how much money am I getting? Now, I don't know, they spent around about, was it 18 million or something in the summer?
Yes.
But there's not a player that's came to the team that's better than anybody that was playing last year. It's basically last year's team without Jota and Carl Starfelt that are playing.
Yep.
As much as young Irish boy Liam Scales.
Yep.
A good, tidy player, but he's another one that's not going to take us. To me, we need a good centre half next to Carter Vickers. We spent £10 million in two, and they're getting nowhere near the team. I despair about. Well, I mean, I'm 55 this year. I hate that as well. 55.
So you're only born 12 years ago.
Well, true, yes, exactly. And I've seen some really dark times at Celtic, and we're lucky enough with the recent history that we've had. But I just don't understand where we're going. We just want to steamroller the league every year and get pumped in Europe. And is that what the board are happy with? Because I can't believe that Brendan Rodgers was happy with that transfer window. Cannot believe he wanted half of the players or even 90% of them.
No. And there's
sorry,
I am indeed. How are you, lads?
Oh, it's evening, Terence. Thanks for coming on. That does a voice, Terence. Des, that's his name. And obviously, you know Jerry.
Do indeed. All right, lads. How are we getting on?
Not bad.
Yourself, mate.
Good.
What about you, Terence? What's your take last night?
Yeah, same old Celtic, isn't it, really? Do you know, I was listening to just there a bit, and you know what I mean? So it's like I had said to you before, Mark. I mean, all the signings like Des was saying there's only Palma. Celtic are basically doing what they do every year. They go, we'll buy 8 or 10, 2 to 3 million, maybe £4 million players and hope one strikes lucky. They do it every year. And you go in then, and then you go, God, we can't compete at this. Really? That's very surprising. You've got a ton of deadwood. Like, they've got 33 players in the squad. How many of them are realistically any use of Celtic? What, 18, 19? Mm-hmm. The rest of them are surplus to requirements, taking wages, transfer fees, everything. Instead of Celtic going away and trying to buy a little bit of quality to make them more competitive. I'm not saying for a second they'll be able to be competitive with the bigger sides, because they won't. But let them be more competitive with the lower sides. We actually were thankful that they got this group. Imagine they got a Man City. Imagine they got a Dortmund. Imagine they got a Real Madrid. That could have been 10. You know, it's like as Des was saying there as well. The board are happy. The board seemed quite content for Celtic to get into the Champions League by winning the league, taking the revenue, maybe selling one of the big players and going, they're probably going to get a spanking, but look, we're after getting 30 or 40 million for this. They'll be all right. Because that seems to be the attitude to me anyway.
I agree, Ter. It beggars belief, but then it's the same old with our board. They've absolutely no ambition at all. Because if they had, they wouldn't be saying, the figures are fantastic, but spend the money. I mean, who knows where we could have went with 2 or 3 quality signings in there. A £10 million player, we know it's going to go up to about 20 by the time you factor in agents' fees, wages, and all the rest of it. But so be it. If that's what it takes for us to progress, then they need to be. Because if you sign these players, granted, there's no guarantee they're going to be success or whatever, but there's a better chance of them being a success than some of these so-called projects that we're signing. And we've signed 10 of them over the years, and as you've said, very rare do any of them get sold for big bucks or make an impact. So I think it's time for them to open the checkbook. But I just don't believe that Rodgers came here to do well in the league. I thought he was coming here to do something in Europe, with the fact that we were guaranteed probably get the Champions League for the next 2 or 3 seasons in a row. And I was hoping that he thought that, right, I've got a decent squad now, I could add my touch to it, plus X, Y, and Z players, and take us up a couple of levels.
I don't think Rodgers will be here for 3 years.
What's that, sorry?
Well, don't you go, Terence? What'd you say?
Sorry, I don't think Rodgers will be here for the 3 years. And I was like this. I wasn't for him to return, but I actually feel sympathy for him now, because there's no way, like Jerry has just said, he came back in with the intention of signing Yang, Kwan, Holm, Tillo, all these guys. He has signed no one that he has gone, did you could say, yeah, Rodgers signed him. Rodgers definitely, that was his guy. Like they were saying that Tillo or Tia, or the fellow talking about with Leicester.
Yep.
That he was free. And it's all down to the fact that Celtic won't appear to spend the money on a wage. But look at all the money, as I said, in the 8 or 9 players they've signed. They're signing them for 3.5 million, 4 million. If that's 9 fours, for argument's sake, that's 36 million. Why can't you buy 3 players for 10 million?
Yep.
And players that are going to make a difference to the team. We're blessed, and I'm slightly biased, but we're blessed that Liam Scales has turned out to be as good as he is at the minute. If he didn't, we were in dire straits, because we'd have had no one for centre back.
I was actually going to say to Des that I know he was talking about Carter Vickers and Scales, but I actually think I know Carter Vickers is coming back for a long injury layoff and that.
I think Scales has been superb.
I think he's been better than Carter Vickers even in Europe.
Yeah. I think Celtic got very lucky with Scales. I really do, because they were shipping him out. Injuries meant him he had to stay there. And in fairness, since the Derby game, he's hardly put a foot wrong. He's been excellent.
Yep.
You know.
There's Bobby 1962. Our shareholders are allowed to stand up and ask for the feck we're going in Europe. That result won't be good for Rodgers' ego, and it isn't doing our reputation much good. Fans have been shafted. 100% spot on, but with the shareholders standing up and ask questions, how does that go, Mark? Is it no selected questions or pre-digged questions?
You need to have them put in by a certain date and stuff like that and things. And so, see, really, all the kind of things, they're just a farce, because Dermot Desmond and the other rest of the board members are never going to vote themselves off and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean?
I will look at the last time. Did Lowell no get voted off and he voted him back in or something like that?
The room voted him off, but the kind of the big shareholders, their vote's always going to win stuff like that.
Aye, it didn't matter if every fan.
Aye, even goes back to stuff like maybe the living wage carry on and all that kind of stuff, and it just goes back to that. Whatever the board wants to get pushed through, it'll get put through.
Yep. Aye. But meanwhile, we're the ones that are getting asked to fork out for merchandise, tickets, everything else. But they sit back and make all these decisions that were none of the fans are actually necessarily agreeing with. And
I mean, there's guys more intelligent than me, guys like even Terence and that. You know what I mean? Terence will. I mean, surely if you're owning a business, you want that business to be the best it can be. And whether that means that, as you say, it's like maybe you need to. Maybe one day somebody comes in and tells you here you need these new machines, these new modern machines, but they cost £10 million each. But seeing by the time next summer comes and you meet this target, they'll have paid for themselves. Do you know what I mean? It's common business for me. In a certain ways, for me, the way the board runs Celtic is a bit of a dereliction of duty.
Yep.
Because they're just that happy just to be the top dog in Scotland. And they've got no other height ambition. Just be the top dog and make money. Whether it's getting into Champions League, getting pumped up and down the park, whatever. As long as the money keeps rolling in, this does us, and we keep just in front of them across the road. And it's really wrong. I keep saying it. We should be treating the Scottish League the same way as PSG treat the French League. No, I mean, just look. This is your money. This is your situation. It's up to you to try and catch us, but we're just going to plod on. There'll be the odd wee hiccup, but we're just going to keep steamrolling these out and plodding on.
Well, it's farcical if their level of ambition is just to keep in front of them. Because if it is, they should let us know, man, and reduce the price of their season tickets.
Yeah, exactly.
Because do you not think it looks like that, Des?
It is.
Well, yeah, I quite agree. Do we want to get too far in front of Rangers? Is that what the board are thinking? I'm just at a loss. I'm absolutely see the way Celtic are now. We should all be rejoicing, in the financial security we've got, the amount of trebles that we've won, but we're still going over this every year, every single year. Bad transfer windows, bad performances away from home in Europe. I mean, we're not even winning at home in Europe anymore. No. Although we were a bit unlucky maybe against Atletico, one of the best performances in Europe for a while, but as soon as that goal went in last night, 6 minutes, the game was over. Done and dusted.
And it's what you were saying earlier as well, Des, but this money, the money in the bank, I mean, what's it getting kept for?
Exactly.
I know they've come out and said, it's for years we don't get into the Champions League. And I don't believe that for a minute. And people, or scumbags on Twitter say, just to pay off. You know what I mean? I'm not getting into that conversation, but that money will come off the kind of the insurance policies and stuff like that. There's no feasible reason for Celtic. There's no feasible reason for any club really in Scotland to have £70 million sitting in the bank. Yep. Maybe they're both scared. Maybe what are we meant to do with this?
It looks good though, Mark, for dividends.
Aye, but what somebody said to me as well, Terence, I know that it makes a difference because we need to pay tax on profit, whereas if you've got a loss, you don't pay tax or something like that.
Yeah, but it's as well too. It looks good for them, and when it comes to the end of the year and they have to pay dividends to shareholders, and they've made this big profit. If you've got X amount of shares, you get paid a dividend as per the amount of shares you own. So it makes more sense for the powers to be that are there. If they own a large chunk of it and Celtic have made a big profit and they've made plenty of money, they get more money back. That's the way a dividend works. Whereas if Celtic make a loss, there's basically no real dividend paid out.
It's just for me. It's astounding figures. They're not getting away from it. We've done it, and I keep saying this as well when people slag Peter Long and the rest of them. On the money making side, you can't fault them for the money that they bring in, the sponsorship deals they've got, and all this kind of stuff. But speculate to accumulate because you'll make more money if you can. If you're getting into the latter stages of the Champions League, Adidas will spend a bit more money.
That's
You know what I mean? Your sponsors will give you more money if you're doing better in Europe and stuff like that.
I was about to say that, Matt. We're going to end up hitting a ceiling with the amount of money that we can get in, because if we're not getting into the Champions League or the rest of it, these sponsorship deals aren't going to fall in our lap and aren't going to happen. I mean, we can't, the amount of merchandise they churn out and the amount of strips and the amount they charge for tickets is astronomical. They can't charge much more than they do for that. So if you're not getting into the likes of the Champions Leagues or latter stages of even the Europa League, these teams aren't going to, or these companies aren't going to be throwing money at you just to sponsor you for winning the league in Scotland. So that money is going to go down. So as you say, spend the money and try and progress and try and keep us there and try and make us bigger and better. Because the only way, in my opinion, is the money's going to go down and down rather than up. So there is well spending it. Maybe I'm just talking nonsense because that's my way. I'm gung ho with money, but that's the way I look at it.
But you're not, Jerry, because the bottom line is the proof is in the pudding. They bought Carter Vickers. They bought Jota. They bought Edward. Edward was 9 million. They sold him for a big profit. They bought Jota for eventually 6.5 million. They sold him for 25. Everyone was praying Carter Vickers wouldn't go, but if he had gone, he could have gone for a substantial amount of money. Yep. It's no surprise if you pay for quality, you will get quality. And for argument's sake, they got lucky with O'Reilly. But if O'Reilly's to be sold, you can pick a figure of probably starting at 30 or 40 million. But yet, how many of the guys that Celtic have bought this year, the 9 guys, would you think would even go for 10 million? Would even go for 5? Would even go for 6 or 7 million? Maybe Palma at the best. The rest of them, most of the rest of them, you'd think is money wasted. So it's all well and good Celtic having all this money and doing it, but like if you buy a little bit of quality and are willing to go, well, he's 8 million. Like there's a reason that a guy is 10 million and a reason that there's a guy is 3 million. Mm-hmm. Same way there's a reason that the reason that the guy who's 20 million, there's a reason that the guy who's 5 million. The guy who's 20 million is a hell of a lot better than the guy who's 5 million. You know, it's not. It's nonsense that Celtic continue to shop in the bargain basement, and because they got a couple of gems from the Asian market, they just think we can flood the whole. We can buy everything from the Asian market, and it's all going to go good. Like it's a joke. Like.
Aye.
Hello, Martin. Are you there?
He said he's in the waiting for you, Adam.
Hello.
Hello, Martin.
Yeah, sorry guys, I was on the mobile, didn't work. So
no bother. Thanks very much for coming on, Martin. Nice to hear from you, bud.
Oh, that's all right, mate. Cheers for coming on. Cheers for letting me on, guys.
Not a problem. What's your take last night?
My take. Basically, we need to learn how to play in Europe. Rodgers is not a European manager. He's got the worst record in the club's history in the Champions League. I don't understand why he's playing ticky-tacky football with players that can't play ticky-tacky football at that level with that class of player.
Aye, well, I'll go for that. I can understand nobody's wanting Rodgers back. When he first came, I was one of them. However, I think by and large, looking at well, from what we know, who was available, I think he was the best of the lot. With regards to football, I think the football we played in the first game against Atletico was brilliant. The first half was really good. I'm all for the passing about. I know the ball going back to the keeper and all that. However, last night, I like them trying to be comfortable on the ball and playing football even in these tight situations. But there's a time and place to play it, and there's a few times it could have and should have maybe went a bit longer than it did. However, as Mark's already said, we can't go long with the likes of Kyogo up front. When you lose Maida's pace, you can't go long either. Palmer was the only other really outball because we had McGregor and O'Reilly were hiding. If I'm honest with you, and Bernardo I think he's more suited to European game, but he wasn't at the races either last night. So that's my kind of take on it. What about yourself, Mark?
Are we still just throwing this out there? This is one of our OG statements, Terence, but me, you, and JFB and Paul and I used to go on about it. Are we missing somebody like Lewis Ferguson?
Oh, 100%.
I would have signed him in a heartbeat. And I
Big
said
time.
that in the forum. I couldn't care less. I know we've heard where his allegiances lie and all that, but who cares? He would have came and he would have been a player. And if you look at him now, it's the same as the boy Hickey. I remember that argument with that boy. It was growing about Hickey. I'd have re-signed him again. No problems at all. The same as Lewis Ferguson. I signed them. They've been on, and Hickey's doing brilliant, and Ferguson's doing fantastic over in Italy. So
He seemed to be like a kind of ideal, kind of box-to-box midfielder. A bit of a dig about him, and he was decent going forward. It was right under our noses.
Aye, but it's the same old. It's
Like McGinn, a bit like McGinn. Do you know what I mean? It's that type of thing. But for me, it's that type of player we're needing that can make all the difference.
See, I think we've got a player like that. We've got a few players. Stephen Welsh had played defensive mid through the youth. I've watched him, and he's an absolute class player at that passing level. And why we don't use somebody like that through a ranks or Ralston at right wing, I'm not sure why. Especially with young Montgomery as well at left wing, was zooming out. We need competition for Taylor, but Montgomery would offer the cover that Maeda and Palmer don't in these games for that guy.
See, that it all comes down to the formation you're going to play. I wouldn't have played Ralston last night at all. I think he's a decent enough player, but I think he gives his all. He is quite similar to Taylor. They'll give you everything they've got, but they're limited. I know JFP will be going off his head because I'm saying this, but that's the way I view the two of them. They'll give you everything they've got. They've both made massive improvement in the last couple of years, but they're limited, and I don't think for us to progress in Europe, I wouldn't be saying that I'd be starting either of them, and I don't think Ralston would be suited to the right wing back, but I'm probably wrong. And I've not seen enough of Welsh to say it, but a CDM. However, I have been told that it was class there in the youth.
I'd like to see Ralston getting a chance. See, like in a back three, I'd like to see Ralston getting the right slot in a back three, or even getting a run, or even a chance at centre back.
Hi guys, sorry to interrupt. I'm going to leave, right? Okay.
No bother.
You sure?
Right, I'm nearly shifting more in the whites on the other line, so I'll leave you go and I'll join you the next time.
No bother, mate. Thanks very much.
See you later, guys. Enjoy.
Hail, bud. Bye.
So, aye, you'd like to see him getting a chance at centre-half?
Aye. As I said, not at Europe or that, but maybe against, I don't know, your Dundees or say St Mirren or something like that. Yeah. Just to see if he could. I'm not saying we could play him there, but see if he could fill in there. It's like another string to his bow.
He's another centre-half to worry about.
But we could maybe get rid of. Do you know what I mean? Instead of having Phillips, we'll get Ralston that could step in there. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
I don't think we need Phillips, guys. Honestly.
No. I think we did. I think we did. You know what I mean? When we signed him, but it turned out because Jerry was cut off. He'll come back on. But because I think it was more we needed a centre back brought in at the time, but because Scales set him up and the injuries get sorted out, it's been a bit of a pointless signing, hasn't it? The Phillips one.
He's been poor anyway.
Aye.
For me, he's been poor. He hasn't been the Phillips that you kind of had seen before in Liverpool. He he's kind of struggled a bit for me, but that's maybe it's game time. I don't know, but you wouldn't be picking him ahead of Carter Vickers or Scales by any stretch of the imagination.
Unless there's a clause in his loan deal, he needs to play a certain amount of games, which could be a bit of a worry. But I think he'll be away back down to Liverpool come January. I don't think he'll be hanging about much.
No. No. He's not. He's definitely not needed now. He was when we signed him, and then he picked up the injury. But no, he's a wage that we can get off our books straight away. That we money we can spend elsewhere. So no, I think so.
Bobby saying, isn't Narovsky due to come back? And why not play there at 3 at the back? According to Rogers, Narovsky's been available for the past couple of weeks, and it's just because of the form of Liam Scales. It's up to Scales to drop the ball or Narovsky to pick it up. You know, that's basically what Rogers has come out and said, wasn't it?
See, I think Narovsky is fit, but he won't be match fit, which is a massive difference, guys, when we're playing the players. Scales can play left back as well. Greg Taylor also is a defensive mid. He done it in his early career as well. And the amount he cuts inside and plays in the middle of the park, that's probably a better option as well.
I've seen a few people saying that about Taylor. I didn't know he played there when he was younger.
I think he did play defensive mid as well. I don't think the way looking at things that Rodgers is going to deviate for the system that he's playing just now with the 4-3-3. I think he's going to stick with that formation. Unfortunately, because I'd like to see him change it up rather than just play the same formation every week. Because I've said it 10 times, he's playing into the opponent's hands by playing that same formation week in, week out.
And you don't mind. It's like we used to talk about like the 4-2-3-1 and how we could switch that to the 3-5-2, blah blah blah. Do you know what I mean? But it's not really the formation as such. It's actually what the players are doing in the park, isn't it? It's what these get the players doing in the park. See like if you've got McGregor sitting there for playing 4-3-3, it's like, well, right, if we've not got the ball, Matt O'Reilly, tell him to drop back and play beside McGregor, so you're playing with two. Do you know what I mean? It's more like the in-game stuff that keeps us. You can't be that rigid with the formation, or you're just going to get picked off.
Yep. Aye. It's I don't know. I would like to see him play with a CDM in Europe, especially a game like last night. I think it was crying out for it. I know we brought on Awata, but the ship had sailed, I think, by the time he had come on, and it was damage limitation time, although it never went to plan. However, we've got another couple of games in this Champions League to try and put points on the board and show that we're trying to progress, we're trying to do something and trying to learn for last night. But it all comes back to the board. Are they going to back Rodgers and the team in these transfer windows, or are we just going to be happy to turn up, take the money, take the pumping and get home?
Yeah, I think the second one.
I'm a great believer. I honestly think, but there was players we tried to sign in the summer that we didn't get, and that's the bit. What if we go to this player that we were talking to, or what if we get this player that we've been speaking to and stuff like that? But we need to get these deals over the line. It's all right, the stories that we were in for the Croatian keeper and we spoke to him and we met him, and I mean, let's face it, that transfer went on. Wayne's have been born in quicker times than that transfer happened. Do you know what I mean? Conceived in born in quicker times. But
it's the same as a boy.
You've got to take the bullet. Ketty, you've got to bite the bullet and say, oh, he's getting over 25 grand, 28 grand over here, and we can't really afford 30. How can we not afford 30 grand in a free transfer to a guy like Tetty?
Guys,
he's still not signed, MD.
I don't think the summer transfer was doing to anything other than us having a bad window.
But then recruitment's got to be held accountable. I know that it comes down if we offer terms to a player and they're knocking it back. It will happen. But surely we've got alternatives identified. Do you know what I mean? There's teams out there that are not spending massive amounts more than us, but their recruitment seems to be far superior. I go back to, see, even the start of this, the qualifiers. I watched the PSV play them and see the way PSV knocked that ball about the park. I don't know how much they spent, but it wasn't massive amounts of some of the players, and some of the players were outstanding. Same as Feyenoord, they've got a cracking team, and I don't think they've spent hundreds of millions. I think recruitment's got to be held accountable as well.
But even down to that again, but even if the recruitment is bang on, because I mean we're sitting slagging it off a bit and that, but there's been a good few hits as well. I mean, it's like somebody put in the chat earlier on about Celtic put all their eggs in the basket and bought players for the Asian market and that for Ange, but the majority of them didn't do too well. And I've said it before, you cannot tell me that Ange came out here and said, I see that Carter Vickers guy, he's the Spurs reserve, I want him brought in. And that wee guy, Jota, I see him that plays there in the Benfica B team, I want him brought in. Matt O'Reilly, he looks alright, we'll get him in January. Didn't why Ange picked A players, Starfelt, Hart, do you know what I mean?
No, Ange didn't pick any of the players apart from the Japanese boys. And to be fair, the ones that were brought in the summer, like home and all that, I've seen them play through the youth ranks. I watch a lot of youth football. And these guys are class players. I don't think Rodgers fancies them, but these guys are actual players. They've got to be given a chance and given game time, especially people like Calmack performing. The likes of Turnbull, 2 goals, 2 games, gets dropped. There's favouritism. And unfortunately, that can't be happening at a club our size. You should be played on your last performance. If you didn't perform, you don't get a game. That should what it should be at our club. Too big for that.
I mean, I like Home. I dare what you're saying there, Martin. I think Home's a great player. I mean, he came and he's played a lot of foot for his age. He's played a lot of football at a decent level, and for me, he should be getting a lot more game time. I know he was injured in that there, and he has been getting a wee kind of start, but he's a player that I think could prove to be a probable bargain for what we kind of look at it.
The problem is he plays the captain's in his place.
But as I've said as well, the majority of the signings that we made this summer would have still made if Ange was still manager. They're like the Celtic, the players we signed in the summer were all like the Celtic recruitment teams signings. Do you get what I mean? They're all players.
They were coming in anyway.
Aye, if Ange was there, would have maybe signed another couple, or maybe unless he these 2 and another 2 or something like that. But the majority of the players that came in the summer, I say they'd have come in anyway, whether Ange was manager, Rodgers was manager, or Neil Lennon was manager.
So basically what you're saying is the recruitment team are only looking for projects. They're not looking for first team ready experienced players, starters players.
Well,
no,
that's their remit, is to look for projects and just be happy enough to try and find a couple of rough diamonds, get them polished up and sell them on. Which again then is just smacks we just want to be ahead of them and no more. We don't want to do nothing in Europe.
That's a bit of arrogance on our level, guys, because if you actually look at the players that were signed, the games played in their domestic leagues are actually a lot better than a lot of our young players get. And even some of our first team players, like Phillips, the young guy Holmes played more games than Phillips, and Phillips is nearly 26. So there's it's a bit of arrogance on our side to say these are project players. They've got to be given game time.
I agree with you there. The boy Home, me and Mark had said it previously on one of our chats that we don't think he was signed as a project, considering the amount of games he played in his league.
Palmer,
probably
Palmer's a more seasoned player than Jota was when he came in.
There's a couple of players in the summer that were signed as direct replacements for Matt O'Reilly and Hatate. This is why these people are not getting game time, because they 2 were due to leave. A lot of players weren't happy under Ange.
Aye, well, I definitely thought O'Reilly was the first bus out at the end of last season, and I wouldn't have been too disappointed. But he's come on leaps and bounds. Last night the whole team were poor, but I can maybe understand that. But I thought Home, I liked the look of him from the wee clips I had seen from his previous club. But surely with the none of these kids, I'm not saying kids, none of these players have got massive. I mean, none of them have got European experience, massive European experience. We're signing unknowns. I know that it's no guaranteed if you sign name players that they're going to do it, but we've got more of a chance of doing something with guys that have been there and done it. I know they're going to cost a few bob, but is a couple of people have said we do need a bit of experience in there as well.
I could mention two names that sort of dictate that doesn't happen: Barkas and Ajeti, then Shane Duffy. We won't go down that road. So these players, we need to sign players that got the talent and we can mould into a team, but then we need to keep that team for 3 to 4 years and build a Champions League team. And the board need to back that.
That's the problem with Celtic. We never ever get to keep the team for a couple of seasons. It always seems to get broken up when you think there's a distinct possibility that something could happen.
But at the same time, when you sign, it's a fair point that's made there. But at the same time, I'm going back a little bit now. But when you sign Hartson, Sutton, Lambert, you know, the boys back then, Lennon, they were all proven names. You knew what you were signing, and they all turned out to be fantastic players for Celtic. You know, I mean, they were costly players at the time.
Even Lambert, much would Paul Lambert cost Celtic now?
I mean, Lambert was a European after winning the European Cup with Dortmund.
We would never have been able to afford them in today's market now, Mark. But
even with the like, kind of ways of scouting and stuff like that starts it goes in this day and age. We probably wouldn't even get Larson back then. There'd have been some other agent or team or something over it that you could have got him for 650,000. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
It's hard to. I mean, we do it all the time, but I mean, it's hard. I mean, you're a great one for saying it. Terms £5 million 10 years ago isn't £5 million a day.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not
so like you're saying. We spent £6 million in Sutton, Hartson, nearly £6 million in Lennon. What would they cost us a day? Do you know what I mean?
The zero would be at the end of it.
At least.
Yep, every bit of it, you know.
And but that's the thing as well. But we're kind of getting left behind with transfers, aren't we? There's very, very rarely Celtic sign a player that you've actually heard of. Do you know what I mean? It's like Palmer. I mean, I haven't. As soon as I heard the name and that, you're away and you're looking up YouTube and looking up and reading up on that, and right away I thought, here, this could be a right good player for us. But it's like you've never even heard the guy's name. Do you know what I mean? It's like years ago there wasn't many players Celtic or anybody got linked to that you hadn't heard. Do you know what? Heard their name somewhere along the line watching football and that.
The days of signing a player from, in a sense, down south is gone. It's pretty much gone because even if you're talking the Championship now, that's nearly out of Celtic's reach to buy a player. And it's a terrible state of affairs because some guy in the Championships on that Chris Woodfell, I think he was, as you said before, Mark, he's on like $100,000 a week.
I know.
And he's in the Championship.
Bobby's there. What time's that, Bobby? What time do you call that, Bobby? 7:45 at night.
Well, he'll be going to do the dishes at 10 to 8, so you better watch.
He's been playing the PlayStation with the wee man. That's all right. Let you off with that. That's an excuse. He's been doing the ironing.
Aye, 100%, mate. But I still think our recruitment's got to be a hell of a lot better. I don't care. Well, I don't know what other people think, but I think it leaves a lot to be desired. See, for every one or two or at Matt O'Reilly's we've found, there's 3 or 4 duds that it can't get near the team. And there, somebody's made the point, was Mark Lowell a project? Where do you think of him, Mark, yourself?
Well, again, you can't fault his pedigree. You don't work for Man City and that, for the City Group for all the years if you're no good at your job. But, and again, what parameters is he working to?
Yeah, I was going to say the same.
You know what I mean? We don't know who he's like presenting to, right? We should sign this, and you know what I mean? Then all of a sudden the board say, "Oh, wait a minute, he's what? These agents wanting £1 million to cut off or something." Do you know what I mean? You don't know. We're only here the players we sign. We can't judge. How do we know that players he's putting forward aren't getting signed up? They were speaking about Teddy, the Croatian keeper, guys like that.
Yep. But then,
I mean, I wouldn't imagine you can fault his knowledge, especially young players across the world. And I think the young players is his forte. To be honest, I think that's where he's best at, like the so-called project players. I think that's more what he's good at. But we don't know what players he's put forward that's been rejected for one reason or another.
See, guys, you look at a club like Chelsea who've signed 100 young players
Aye.
and one or two break in. That's a market you're competing with. So to actually find these players, you've got to have to find 7, 8 players and hopefully get 1 or 2.
Yep.
That is the model. But you should be looking at those 6 or 7 being rotated through your squad. If no, you sell them on quick, 1 or 2 seasons gone, and have that put in their contracts. This is the problem with Celtic. A lot of players are kept around too long. Forrest, for example, brilliant player, brilliant servant, but he should be gone. This is where it should be. Carmack hasn't turned up all season. This is what another players haven't turned up. Maeda, the guy, he runs a bit like a headless chicken for me. Great work ratio, but you actually look at what he delivers. 90% of the time, it's not great. Like, that's why I said about Ralston being at right wing. His delivery is a lot better than Maeda's. And even if he's limited, he will put in like Maeda 100% of the time. And he's got that engine to get up in the park for 80, 90 minutes a game.
That's a fair point you put it like that, Martin, to be honest. I mean, I've said that for long enough about Maeda. When he's not got the ball at his feet, you can see what he does for the team. Paul, I mean, the Derby game, he kept Tavernier putting back the full 90 minutes. He can't get forward, which is one of their main outlets, which is a brilliant tactics and to have. But when he's got the ball, he doesn't, it's nothing. You know what I mean? I don't want Maeda to get the ball, but I want him on the park, if that makes sense.
He's better without it than he is with it.
Aye.
That's a sad state of affairs, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you can see the tactics, but see if you had a player, maybe even Martin's right, maybe Ralston, because I mean, Ralston is good putting balls into the box and stuff like that. So maybe even trying that. But maybe when they try it at Derby or that, but maybe getting it a bash, playing Ralston as a kind of right wing back. Because he is better with the ball at his feet than Maeda. There's no doubt about it.
That is a problem. We play players on work ethic because of our system, rather than the ability to own the ball. You look at the team of Strachan that went through to that last 16. That wasn't players of any ability. That was players who just were athletes.
Yep.
The performance on the pitch. The problem is, Calmac, nobody's shouting at him. If you look at that team, you had Barry Robson shouting at people. You had the other guy in the midfield, Hartley. You had Caldwell. You had players in the team that were having a go. This is the issue with the current team. Look, we play people on this ticky-tacky football. Sometimes you need just an out-and-out core in the Celtic team. I don't like this fact that we sign all these foreign players. We might have to live with the fact that our team is not that great domestically to get some youth players through, so then we can keep them. Unfortunately, because foreign players just want to move on after 2 seasons. It's not working for us. We've tried it for the last decade.
I can
One of the most sensible guys we've spoken to in a long time, Martin.
Where have you been hiding?
Aye.
I can.
No, but spot on. But honestly, you can't really argue with anything he said there.
No, I was about to say that. It's hard to argue any of it, but we do actually. I think we're all guilty of thinking we are better than we are, but there's no shame in hoping that we progress and do a lot better than we've been doing. And I'm big on youth football, but I just Martin, do you watch the youth?
I don't catch a lot of Celtic these days because I'm busy at work when they're playing these days. But I watch a lot of European youth football, and unfortunately I'm not in the bubble, the Glasgow anymore. So I get to see a lot of what was going on, and this is why I say about the summer transfer window. A lot of players would have been in for were sky high because of the stuff coming out of the Middle East in that window. I spoke to a few players, people from Southampton, Barnes and Bournemouth, and Tottenham, Arsenal and all that, and they said the same thing. They didn't get the players they were in for, and the amount of money they were asking for was ridiculous. So this fair window, we might have not got the players, and I don't think Rodgers has got to be here for that amount of time because he isn't the guy that's got patience. I think he'll be gone at the end of the year because he didn't get the players he wanted, and that's not a bad thing. We might actually get a decent manager that might play defensive football, although we might not like it.
You don't think Rodgers will be here for next season?
No, I don't either. I fully agree with him there. I don't think he'll be there either.
Some bold predictions here, lads.
Look at his attitude. Just look at his attitude in the press conferences. He looks like he doesn't want to be there. I think he's came up here thinking the fans would forgive him for winning and that. But the guy, honestly, looks to me like he's just trying to keep the fans on side. That's not what a manager we need. We needed somebody like Ange who didn't care. He was playing his style and off. And we need another manager with that kind of, I don't want to say the word because we're online, but it goes, I can't really say it, guys. You know the word I'm looking for.
No, it's all right. You can say it. It doesn't matter on here. We've probably spoken. Aye.
You need to fucking grapefruits to go on there and do it. What? And Rodgers hasn't got them anymore. He's no one to stand up to the fans. There's no way that David Turnbull should have been dropped after scoring 2 goals in 2 games. I don't care any team, any player. No what? Bernard didn't turn up last night. Calmack's been posted missing. What? And Palmer, for me, great, brilliant. He's not a winger. He doesn't provide cover for Taylor. Taylor's getting absolutely bashed about pillar to post, but nobody's providing any cover. I've watched it, and because there is no central defensive mid to fill in for Taylor, he's getting absolutely destroyed, and he's making him look bad. When the guy isn't that bad, he's a player. He done it at Kilmarnock when he had cover. So it's just our system that doesn't work for him.
It was the same with Jota. Jota was the exact same. Jota never helped Taylor. Never helped Taylor. And Taylor was a whipping boy for season upon season because Jota you'd never track back. And I agree with what he's saying there. But just to go back to the other point, Mark, in relation to Rodgers. Rodgers came in here and there was the whole hoo-ha that he was coming in because he didn't get the money for signings that he wanted, and that's the reason he left the first time. And that statement that he made a couple of months ago where he was like, basically, I just train the players I'm given. Something along those lines where he said, I just train the players I'm given. That to me was basically going, right. All of a sudden, he's come in expecting X, Y, and Z because we all assumed that's what he was given when he came back. He left because he wasn't getting money for transfers. And now he's come back. And a few months later, you hear him going, I don't sign players. I just train what I'm given. Was basically along the lines of what he said. That to me was the red flag straight away to go. He's basically like, screw this. Like, I can't see him being there next season. I really can't, and I won't lose sleep over it either. By the way,
I understand what you're saying, Ter, but any manager worth their salt, especially when you go like Rodgers, isn't he just going to come here for the sake of it? Especially when he was going to take time out. The first 2 things he'll ask is about how much he's getting paid and what's his transfer budget. There is no way he's come up here just to win that league. There is no way that he's come up here just to win the league.
100% agree, Jerry. But has he been given the money? Why hasn't he? Rodgers isn't the guy when he was even at Leicester. Rodgers isn't the guy to buy a small time £3 million, £4 million player. Why, if Rodgers even when he came in the first time, he got Sinclair up, and obviously there was Dembele. He bought Colo Torre up. He bought guys in that he wanted, and Celtic paid a few pounds for them. Like, he has nothing to do with any of these guys. You'd imagine at all. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Palmer, maybe he did, maybe he didn't, I doubt it. But he hasn't brought in a single player, in my opinion, of those guys that have come in. So how can he be happy?
No, I agree with you there. And one of the things that you've noticed with the first 2 you mentioned with Sinclair and Toure, both known to him and both had experience, or at least experience playing his kind of football, but no, none of the signings that he has made or that Celtic have made, I'd agree. I wouldn't say that any of them are Rodgers signings. However,
and that's not Rodgers, though.
No,
that's not his ego. That's not his ego either.
No,
His
but
ego is he
still,
wants a big name, like.
aye, no, he'd be wanting to spend a few quid. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But I think he'll be here. I just can't see him jumping the gun twice. He'd get lynched on site, I think, if he did. But then, if he's not getting the money, then what does it come down to? Has he been lied to by the board? Because
That's what I think.
that's what you think's happened.
Yeah, he has to have been. He has to have been. He has to have been promised. If he came back, he has to have been promised whatever he was promised. They were saying transfer budgets of 35, 50 million. Like they spent whatever they spent, 8 or 9 players, whatever it was.
Mhm.
As I said, if it's 4 million a player or 3 or 4 million a player, they got 25 million for Jota. So suppose they spend 4 million, 9 4 is 36, and they got 25 million for Jota. What's that? An 11 million.
Aye.
11 million, like, do you know,
Yep.
that's absolute. Like Rodgers was coming from a league where they were dealing with 30 million pound players, and I know he understands the different market and the different, you know, the finances. He's been there, he's done that. Well, I can't think for a second he came up here to be given Yang or Kwan or all these guys, and basically he hasn't signed, and like he hasn't signed anyone that he wanted to. Like there's no, I don't know whether Rodgers wanted that Tete fella, and the board have basically said no, we're not paying 60 grand a week. I don't know that, but you know the guy was free, like.
Sorry.
Well,
I
if you
think
look at
Rodgers-
the 60
mate,
grand a
sorry.
week with no transfer fee, it's to me it'd be a no-brainer, especially a player like that.
Oh, well, I
Maybe-
agree with you, but it's the board.
But maybe it's not the board's fault, Terence. Maybe it's the players and their agents.
Like, that's
Guys,
fair enough, Mark, but they all can't say no.
Guys, you've got to be realistic. These guys are getting offered Turkey, which has got 2 massive clubs. Who really has got to come to Scotland, right? When they've got that on the radar to play against Rangers or Ross County on a Wednesday night in the freezing cold. I don't think so. Rangers are not the team they were. That used to be the draw. Rangers Celtic. Rangers are not the team. They're a shammy team. Their board are fighting with their own fans. And to be fair, how many players have got to come here to get shouted at by our fans? Look at our own players. Look at the stick Greg Taylor gets. Forrest is a club legend. The guy scored 100 goals and 100 assists across 15 seasons, and the fans give him pelters saying he's not good enough. That is, unfortunately, he should be moved on to a coaching role. Like I say, he should be a squad player, but he should be doing coaching in the background as well. But the guy is an absolute legend for the club, and the
James
stick
Forrest.
he gets to our fans. Aye, James Forrest.
Oh, no, Martin, I can't have that.
Well, mate,
James Forrest is a coaching role.
well, I hate to say it, mate, but he's got the success and
The
everything,
trophies
and
in
that's
that, but
halfway. It's also like John Kennedy. John Kennedy has been there, done it, and every successful manager has kept him as an assistant. But our fans won't allow him to take that step up into the role. And to be fair, the COVID season, you can't really judge him on, because that was absolutely shocking what he was left behind with. And he was obviously, his remit was just
I like Kennedy. I like Kennedy, but I always say I think he's just one of the guys. I think he's just one of the guys that maybe prefer coaching than managing.
No, I think I would have preferred him or Rodgers any day of the week, because the guy's core, he's successful. Rodgers to me is like a baby. He spits his dummy out if he doesn't get it. Some of the players that he was after in his first time were unrealistic for our club. I mean, the guy went to Leicester and was spending 30 million on a player he wanted us to spend 7-8 million on. This isn't how it happens. We had to look at French Eddie. He was 9 million, and he was basically a B team player who wasn't getting game time for PSG. The signings that Rodgers wants unrealistic for our club, and unfortunately, that's just the case. It's a wrong appointment in the first place, and now we've got to suffer for that.
So, how do you take it forward then? If you're saying guys like Rodgers, some of his signs are like out of our reach, whether it's money, whether it's prestige, other leagues or whatever. Well, how do Celtic as a club move forward for you then, Martin?
spend that 20 million developing the youth, but also we should be looking in at getting clubs in the SPL together, and we should be leading on this. What is to get that youth league back up or reserve league? We pay for the Highland League or whatever it is, the league where a B team play.
The B League.
Right. We should be looking at getting that reserve league back up. I'm sure between us, Rangers, Hearts, and Aberdeen, I think are all interested. We could afford it. We'll spend more money getting the reserve league, getting it clean, than buying all these youth players. Why don't we just invest maybe 1 or 2 million in a league like that? But
there is a reserve league again. Celtic didn't want part of it. It's like, there I've got it on the screen here: Kilmarnock, Ayr, Queen's Park, Dundee, Livy, Hibs, Dunfermline, Queen of the South, and Airdrie. There is a reserve league. And when they tried to start it off, Celtic again refused to get into it. But I totally agree with you, man. It's unbelievable. I've spoken about this for this B League stuff came out into terms, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable that our youth players are going away to play games against guys that are serving an apprenticeship for being a mechanic, or guys that are getting up in the morning to go and do a shift in the local bakery and stuff like that. Because these guys, they just could clatter any young Celtic player just for the kudos after pal doing the pub that night.
Why don't we just get a feeder club? Pay them the money. Say, look, we'll give you a certain percentage of every transfer we get for your youth centre. If they come through, we'll give you a certain percentage if you help develop them. And anybody that you want to keep that doesn't make it, you get for free as part of the deal, and we pay them an annual fee for development, and we look after and we maintain the facilities, or they get to use our facilities. Somebody like Partick Thistle or somebody like that.
Yeah, but you're talking a lot of sense there now. Let's be fair about it. This is Celtic, like.
No, but we've had that conversation before. It sounds great in theory, but can you imagine these teams, their fans and all the rest of it, if for Celtic come along and say, right, we're going to buy you, you're a feeder team now? They'd go daft. You imagine?
It'd be like if a City group came along and said, right, we're buying Dermot Desmond. How would we feel about that?
I didn't say anything about us going and buying them. Make it a deal between the clubs so they could actually sell it to their fans. That if they have not got to attract our youth players, to be honest, but if they can actually come and use our facilities, and then players that we don't want, that they get first option on rejection, it's something that they could sell to the fans. They could actually make money and turn around and say, look, we're getting a percentage of every transfer that Celtic make for their youth. That's something you can sell to fans. You've got to make it sellable. I know the Rumours are absolutely terrible and won't make it happen, but it wouldn't be hard.
No, it's a brilliant point, don't get me wrong, but the biggest problem with Celtic is that, and you know yourself from watching them, and Mark would have said it here numerous times, if a young guy is in the team and he's his first few games and he has a few stinkers and Celtic lost the game, 9 times out of 10 that young guy would be to blame.
Yep.
And then the fans will just, they'll be like, he's rubbish, he's no good, he shouldn't be playing anymore, he's terrible. Get him out of the team, end up. And I know it's not wrong, it's wrong, but that's the mentality. The problem is, and as well too, there's a massive snobbery. If Celtic signed a player from, so we say, for argument's sake, the Ross County keeper.
I know what you're going to say here, Terence, but you're bang on.
If Celtic signed the Ross County keeper, who that Law is it Lawwell? Laidlaw, who I think he's a fine keeper, regardless of the weekend. If they signed him, people would be going bananas. But if Celtic signed the Chelsea reserve keeper, they wouldn't think, oh, geez, we're after getting a fella from Chelsea. The snobbery to sign a player or give a Scottish guy a go is unbelievable. Like as I said, we were all up in arms when Ralston was given an extension in the contract, because it's like, oh my God, he's rubbish, he's dreadful, he's this, he's that. But if Celtic signed Scottish players or even give young guys a chance, and it didn't work out, they'd be castigated. Whereas they have to sign a Paris Saint-Germain B team player. Oh, you man from Paris Saint-Germain, or a Benfica guy.
Yep.
Like if Celtic had signed, if Jota wasn't with Benfica, if Jota was with, we just say Sidmer or Hibs or something like that.
Livingston went through a stage of signing loads of like Spanish and Portuguese players. If they dug up Jota and he came up here and ripped the league up for a year, and the Celtic were in for him, fans would moan about it.
They would, yeah. If Celtic were going to buy, and that's the problem. Like we're saying about transfers and all this. Like I said it to you, Mark, there a while back. Aberdeen played. I think they were a crowd from Denmark or something like that. I can't remember their name now. And there was a young lad, a small guy in the wing, coloured lad, and he destroyed him. And he was been sold for $3.5 million. Now this guy was. He wasn't just a one-off. You could see the serious level of skill in him. And they had a couple of players in their team, and they were seriously unbelievable quality. Like, why aren't Celtic looking at like Norway, where the Bodo Glint crowd? That guy, the winger, he went to Roma. He's not even getting a kick of the ball. That tall blondie. That Celtic were apparently looking at him. But like, what's wrong with Norway? What's wrong with Belgium? What's wrong with those countries looking for players, for quality players? Why is it always going miles across the water? And those players aren't going to cost Celtic an arm and leg. Look, if you look at the Bodo Glint team, it's exactly like Martin is saying. Half those players came through their academy, like, and they spanked Celtic, like.
No, that still sticks in my throat. That one, man. I'd have loved my Husser that night terms. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know, but no one knew anyone there, Mark. But look at those players. Look at the way they played, like. Do you know?
I've said just what Martin's saying there, and the user saying, I've said that for a long time as well. People keep moaning, we've got all these, we spend all this money in Lennoxtown and training and stuff, but what we're producing out it needs to be an exceptional young player to make the grade at Celtic and break into the front, the first team, and it takes a certain kind of mental attitude for that young player to be able to handle doing that, because at Celtic, every player's only judged in the last touch of the balls they've made. You know what I mean? It's like Carter Vickers there. Last week, see the goal the other week, Greg Taylor should have been in for that tackle, right? But if you watch it again, right, we spoke about it the other night with Jerry. I don't know if you were on terms against Atletico, wasn't it? The one that if Taylor went for the ball, he was getting lifted. The other guy was by him, so if the guy had touched it, the other guy was away. But nobody's blaming Carter Vickers for losing his man at the post. Carter Vickers was nowhere near his man.
But I said it before, man.
The greater blame Greg Taylor for that than Carter Vickers not being able to header the ball. And even down to last night, people saying about Joe Hart could have caught that. Aye, but Cal McGregor had booted that to hell for heaven. You know what I mean? People are dragging play. It's like VAR. They're dragging play back to find something to have a pop at a certain player, in my opinion.
But you have to understand as well, Mark, certain players are always whipping boys. Starfelt was always a whipping boy, regardless of what happened. Greg Taylor's always a whipping boy, regardless of what happens. Callum McGregor can make umpteen mistakes in the game, rarely get criticised. Like the time against Aberdeen where Carter Vickers was cut out with the ball down the line, in the square there for the goal. All what you had fellas going was like, yeah, he got cut out there. It's not like him though. But if that was Carl Starfelt or Liam Scales, they'd get a completely different reaction.
It's a kind of snobbery, isn't it?
Well, players can't be blamed.
See, go back to your other point, Matt, about Lennoxton and the player. There's no a clear path into our first team, regardless if you're producing players up there or no. This is who half of our players are leaving. Our youth players are leaving. They don't get enough of a chance. In the first place to try and get a crack at a whip in the first team. I mean, Tierney and McGregor were nearly out the door before they even get anywhere near the Celtic first team. And if it wasn't for injuries and luck, we'd maybe never have seen them playing. Some of these kids I can understand who they want to leave. Hickey was another one. They're not getting a clear path or to the first team. We know they need to be exceptional players, but for every, I don't know, when was the last time we actually brought one through and have played regular? It's frightening for a club like us because every other team seems to be able to do it, even your Man Cities.
I'd say McGregor's the last one.
I think so. It's definitely
Under Ronnie Delia.
Hickey, see guys like Hickey, even Andy Robertson.
Yep.
And what you're saying, but I'm agreeing with you with this, Jerry. Would they become the players they were if they hadn't left Celtic to go and get their chance and play games week in and week out?
No, granted, but surely it all comes back to how the club's structured and how we want it to run. Would you, the treble's great, would you any sacrifice any of these cups, say the League Cup, for if we were going to be playing our youths in it, we turn around and say, right, we're going to start playing our youths to give them first team games, or a couple of our youths to give them first team games if it meant us losing a cup? Would you be happy with that?
I said that to start the season, actually, Jerry, to Mark, that I said that if you have, for argument's sake, you have two, I know Ben Summers has gone out on loan, but say Ben Summers and I don't know, one of the other lads, the fullback or something, McPherson or something like that. If you had one or two of these guys that you thought, look, these guys have a serious chance of becoming first team players or getting in there the next 2 seasons, I said to Mark, I would have no problem going to them. You're going to play the League Cup. However long we go on it, you're going to play the League Cup, and you're going to play 6 home games. And the games are going to be, we could play 5 home games, maybe 1 away game. You're going to play against St Mirren, this bar an injury. Now, Celtic can't put 1 or 2 of those players on at home to St Mirren or St Johnson or whoever it is, and win a game. There's something seriously wrong with the rest of the players. And because they have to believe that these 2 guys, or however many individuals, are good enough to step up to the Celtic team, that's what I would do. And if a guy plays a League Cup game or a Scottish Cup calendar year and plays another 6 or 7 or 8 games during the season, and he's got 10 or 12, 15 games during the season, whatever it is, starting games, then you get a better look at the guy, and then you could say, okay, is he up to the grade? You can't expect the guy to come on for 10 minutes or 5 minutes and then try judge him. No one is, you haven't the hope of judging a guy for 5 minutes, like.
No, well, that's what I've been saying about
Yep. It's a different mentality coming onto the game as well. When you're 5-10 minutes to go, if you're 3 or 4 nothing up, you want to see them from the start when it's nothing each.
My thing with that about the cups is the thing in Scotland is, I mean, down in England they don't care. You know what I mean? They don't really care who wins the League Cup and the FA Cup. But up here it's more the kind of parochial thing. If we don't win it, they're going to win it. So I think that kind of hodges back for you. You're talking about terms, that kind of even in the clubs, you know, even within the clubs, it's always a fear of if we get put out of this to say Aberdeen because we're playing young players, we've got 5 young players in this team, we're playing against Aberdeen in the semi-final, we get put out, and Rangers are in other semi-final and they get through. That, do you know what I mean? That's the kind of. That's about just in Scotland. Anywhere else, I don't think things like that matter. But in Scotland, at times, we're that parochial about it does.
But what I'm saying, though, Marcus, I didn't be saying about putting in maybe 2 players. I'm not saying about putting in 5 or 6. I'm only saying putting in. If you've got 2, the likelihood is Celtic have probably got 2 standout players. They haven't probably got 5 or 6 standout players. You could, if you've got 2 players, if Celtic can't take 2 players out of the first team and put in 2 guys that they think have really, really look like they've got something, like a Ben Summers that I used as an example. If they're worried about doing that, then those 2 guys aren't good enough for the first team.
It's not even about that, guys, to be fair. Young Ben Summers had it. Even Batter's got the skill to get. The problem is, our fans idolise people like Hatate and that. Hatate, for me, gives the ball away 50% of the time. When he's trying these through balls, great. But his football and brain's no there. He's a cheap, really cheap player. And I don't think we've got to get the 20 million people seem to think he's got to get. Because in Europe, he's been shown up. People say about Turnbull, and I am one of Turnbull's biggest fans. But in the summer, he's got to walk away for free. That guy gets goals. He's getting me. His stats compared to Hatate is massive. Again, with Maeda, doesn't he get it? Palmer, brilliant. Peg, he turns up now and then with some great goals, but he's a passenger 90% of the game. It's the same as Kyogo. Kyogo brings nothing other than goals to the team. That's brilliant. But in a game like last night, it should have been O or somebody in that team. Well, I don't understand why they're getting game time.
I disagree with you there on Turnbull. See the stats. I mean, don't get me wrong. See the other day there, we could have played all day if Turnbull never hit that worldie and scores. But I feel that Turnbull only plays well. He doesn't take a game by the scruff of the neck. He plays well in stages, and he doesn't have enough influence in the whole game, if that makes sense. I know he scores the goal that sets us in our way, but I've yet to see Turnbull take the game by the scruff of the neck and have a right good game. His last good game was probably the first game of the season.
See, I understand what you're saying there, but actually, if you watch what he does on the park, he creates space. It's the positions he takes up in the park that means he's getting marked because he can hit a worldie for 20, 30 yards. They're dragging out midfielders left, right, and centre to cover him. And then people like Matt O'Reilly are getting space. That's why O'Reilly was good looking in the games. Calmack's been a passenger. If you had somebody else in that midfield like Ohm, who's got the legs that Calmack no longer has, then you look at the amount of goals we'll get. Because Turnbull is a player, even though he doesn't look like he gets up at the park, watch his positions and what he takes up. Yeah. It's like people say Kyogo is that good at taking up positions. No, under this new system, he was with Ange because he played on the peripheral, but no anymore.
See, what I say with Turnbull is it's consistency he needs to find.
Definitely.
A lot of what Martin says here, I do agree with you. I really do, Martin. But I just think he needs to find it more often, be more consistent, because it's like one week he's a 7 or 8 out of 10. The next week he's a 2 out of 10. The next week again he's up there in the 6 and 7s, and then the next week he's doing it a 3 and 4. If you could just find a bit more consistency, I agree that Turnbull could be a great player. He's a player that I liked, and I was excited when we signed him. I thought he was a great player in Motherwell, and he was really unlucky to get that injury. Whether that's something today we spoke about before, we don't know. But if Turnbull could find consistency and do what he does well, more often, I wouldn't have any problem with signing a new contract at Celtic.
Aye. I would take him again. Just for the fact he does offer something different. It wouldn't be my starting midfielder, but I would definitely have him in and around about the squad. And Martin's made some fantastic points, but Rodgers obviously sees a player in him first time and this time. And when he was at Motherwell, I thought he was a fantastic player. And I know it got to sound daft, but at the time I thought there was going to be similarities between him and McStay. He's nowhere near hit the heights, but he's got a wonderful strike of the ball, and he does create space, but I just don't think he's enough influence in the game for me to be my starting midfielder.
No, that's what I'm saying. If you could find more consistency, Jerry, he would be a great player. And again, with Kyogo, I've been saying that for so long. Again, just what Martin said, Kyogo it's just, I don't know what's going on with him. People are scoring goals, but he offers he's like a bit like Maeda. Yep. But see, if the ball doesn't get played right to his toe, you don't see him. I don't know if it's right. I know maybe one usual know better, something live chat. I saw something on Twitter saying that he made one pass last night.
They said Joe Hart had more touches than he had.
Just look at the just have a good look. Next time he plays a game, have a look at the positions that he's taken up. Hopefully, what the difference is, Calmack and him are similar type players, and what they try and do. That is the issue. Both of them on the park doesn't work because both of them don't have the legs. Turnbull would be fantastic, but you need somebody else to do the running. That's why Matt O'Reilly and somebody like Ohm would be perfect. Same as Ohm looks good when it's Calmack in the team, because they two have got the legs. They don't. These players at that level sometimes don't. Look at I can't think of the guy now. Juventus defensive midfielder, and I'm not saying he's near the level of that guy, but he was the slowest player on that park. But he used to. Marabchik was one of the slowest players I've ever seen. But
was it Pirlo? Was it?
was unreal, and he created room for other players. Look, he didn't get involved most games, but he just took up positions that created space for other players to get involved in the game.
Yeah. Aye. No, it's hard to argue any of that. And that's the sign of a good player, one that can create the space around about them to make it look as if they've got tons of space. So I would go with that.
Well, he just doesn't. For me, I don't. This is only again his only personal opinion. Turnbull just doesn't strike me like a guy that has the engine to get up and down. And the pitch, when you see him playing, it's like what Mark said. We've said it loads of times. He's either brilliant or he's basically you don't see him.
Mm-hmm.
That's my personal opinion. I think the problem is like what you said there, Martin, at the start. When they played McGregor and Turnbull, we were saying this even at the start of the year, when they played the first few games, they're too similar. Neither of the two of them get up the park and get back the park.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't have the legs between the two of them to do it. And I like for me, I get the Hatate one, but I really like him. I really like Hatate. I think obviously Hatate looks like he can run all day long. And O'Reilly's been fantastic so far this season. The problem with the McGregor one is, even though Holm looks a really, really good quality player and really good on the ball, Cal Mack seems to be undroppable. Or even for a game at home to St Mirren or St Johnson or whoever it may be, where it's an ideal time to put your Holm in there or a Turnbull in that holding role if you want that, and O'Reilly and Hatate, whoever it may be, mix it up. But they make all the changes even the other day in the game, but they still play McGregor. You know, he's not going to get it. That Holm should be getting more game time, but he's not likely to with McGregor's playing every week.
See, for me,
there's a bishop in there, Jerry. There's a bishop in. John, would you offer Turnbull a new contract? Nobody's answering. Would you offer Turnbull a new contract?
I'd give Turnbull a new contract tomorrow. Ask Rangers fans about how many goals he sold at their side in the summer, and then look what happened. Guys, you can't. Turnbull's a player you need. Domestically, he can unlock a low block. Europe, I don't think he's got the legs, and that's me being honest. But if he can come on and give you 30 minutes in a game where you had your backs against the wall and then hit a worldie in the last 20 minutes of a European game, that's the type of player you need in your team. I wouldn't play him every day, every week from the start. But
I have no problem agreeing with you there. I'd agree he's a squad player, but he's definitely not. He wouldn't be a starter for me. And he'd start some games, but not. He wouldn't be my first choice in the midfield if they're playing three in the midfield. I agree, as a squad player, he'd be ideal, but it wouldn't be a starter. It wouldn't be a starter for me.
According to Rodgers, the contract's on the table. It's up to Turnbull whether he's going to sign it or not. So is there interest in him? Let's face it, there'll be teams out there that would take Turnbull in a heartbeat.
Guys, there is. Early summer, I remember right, I said in the summer to you guys that Southampton and Bournemouth and Leeds and a few other the South London clubs were actually looking at Turnbull because his ability. The guy can play. This isn't a fluke that he's there. The guy can play, and it's just unfortunate that our managing team cannot see this.
But he wasn't a first team starter with Ange though, so that would be two managers that have no fancied him as a first team starter. I think it comes down to Turnbull's ambition, if he'd be happy to be playing every now and then, or if he's at a stage in his career where he thinks, no, I want to be a first team starter and playing every week for a team. It's up to him.
But could he knuckle down and become a first team starter for Celtic, do you think? Well, we thought he did, but it's not really
not in that system.
Thought. No,
not in that system. Not a 4-3-3. I don't think he's able to start for Celtic. I just don't think it's not all about running. I think the way we are set up, I just don't think he's got the legs or the quickness or the speed of play to play first team for.
See, I think this is wrong because I think Calmac should be rested in the games and Turnbull should come in. These two should be rotated, even though Calmac's our captain. He is 31, 32 and played an extortionate amount of games over the last couple of seasons. So you could actually play both of them and have them in the team. Turnbull, at heart, came to Celtic because he's a Celtic fan. Look at his injury. He came back to play for Celtic. This guy wanted to play at our club. And as far as Ange was selfish. He didn't fancy Gigi.
No, well, that's true. Granted.
And I think Gigi brought a lot more in the physical domain. Look at Gigi against the Huns. He's been, to be fair, Kyogo's done it. But Gigi was a different option. And we had Gigi last night. We had an outball.
Yep. I'd agree with you there, mate. Definitely. It's just, I just don't think it all comes down to Turnbull. Is he happy to going to be playing every now and then, or is he at that stage where he thinks, no, I want to be playing every week? But for our homegrown, I think we would need him anyway, regardless. In a selfish aspect, I think he'd be needed for the European registrations.
That stuff. That's a nonsense. That as well. See, when you think about it, you're maybe holding back young players' careers a bit. There I said with Andy Robertson became Andy Robertson, or Hickey became the Hickey. Do you know what I mean? Young players that left Celtic go out and play every week. I mean, we've held back players just either on better money than they can maybe get offered in Scotland or whatever, so they stay at Celtic. But they're not progressing any kind of career. They're just sitting there stagnating. And is that UEFA ruling, is that holding back even young players progressing? Whether it's at Celtic or anywhere else, is it holding back the kind of youth progression of the game?
It's that one, having that you've got to have the youths in. Now you've got to have a couple of youths in your first team squad or your match day squad.
Aye. But you can unlimited amounts, say under 21s or something.
It beggars belief, because you know they're not going to get on. They're not going to get anywhere near. They're just there to take up a spot on the bench. So again, that's staggering them and holding them back rather than them getting any experience of playing football.
I mean, it's like, I don't know, like say Stephen Welsh, you know, our future Celtic captain Stephen Welsh, right? But he's been plugging away at Celtic. He's never really going to get into the first team, a first choice. But he's maybe getting $2 or $3 grand a week more than he's going to get if he went to Dundee United when they wanted him. So is he like Scott Bain? Is Scott Bain just happy there to sit at Celtic, make up the numbers because they're getting a few more pounds than they're getting somewhere else? It's a weird one. It's a kind of real. It goes back to maybe showing my age, but the mind it was a 3-4 rule thing that they had in teams. Because that held back Man United for years in winning that European Cup.
Aye.
You know what I mean? Because you were only allowed 3 foreigners in your team at the time and stuff like that. And I think this rule about having so many homegrown players in your squad, I think that's a lot of nonsense as well. Because you're putting players into it that they're only there because of where they were born. Instead of because of their talent or where. Do you know what I mean?
What about getting a couple of them are saying talk about Gigi bringing him back? Could we get him on loan? That American League's done for the season, isn't it?
Aye, that's it. Finished, isn't it?
Gigi will never come back, guys.
I wouldn't imagine so, but
no. I think. Do you think he's getting a lot more money than he was here?
No, I just think he was badly treated.
Aye.
Honestly, but look at players like Matt O'Reilly and that who said we were got to leave because of Ange. I think the guy was just badly managed. And to be fair, your point on this homegrown players thing, I think we should be limited to the amount of foreigners we have, maybe 6 per squad, and then we'd have to have an encouragement to bring through your players. I'm on the completely out of the scale. Because I remember, although Man U were held back for years, they're a top tier team. But if they had 6 foreigners, they would have won. But they had some really good English players, Scholes, Giggs, players coming through.
I'm getting back before that, but I'm getting back when the guys like it was like Puntantanak and Chelskis, Schmeichel, Paborski, guys like, do you know what I mean? Before like the young Man United team came through, even Cantona was counted as a foreigner.
Yep.
Oh, he was.
In fact, it was maybe even Giggs. I can't remember. Right? Is that not how Lee Sharp
He was,
got a lot
yeah.
of game time? I think Giggs was even counted as a foreigner.
No, Gig shouldn't have been because it was British players. I remember playing Championship Manager way back in the day.
Oh my! We've got Mikey, we've got a square go for you. We've got a UFC match lined up.
So it was 3 foreign non-EU players at the time. So if you had an EU passport, you had a certain amount, and then it was 3 like world foreign players. If I remember the rules right.
I always remember famously Inter Milan, or was it Inter Milan and AC Milan? They had the Dutch and then they had the German boys.
Aye.
Gullit and Van Basten and Rijkaard and Muller and what is it? The fullback and the Inter Milan had the German boys and the Dutch had the Dutch were with AC Milan.
Aye.
That was a long time ago.
But then that was
Get back to Giacomakis, man. You get, what was it, Player of the Year or something like that earlier into their version here.
Newcomer, was it best foreigner or something? Best newcomer or something in the league. Aye.
And yet Messi won Ballon d'Or.
Aye.
That competition's rigged.
You're spot on there. It's rigged.
I said this the other night, right, man? Who do you think should have won it hands down? And I hate the league and everything, but Haaland should have won that without a doubt.
How can you win a treble and score the most goals and everything and still not win it? Like,
I actually think, Haaland or Jude Bellingham actually.
but in fairness, if you win the treble, is in the league, the cup, and the European Cup, and a top scorer and all of it, and you still can't win it, something seriously wrong. Like,
yeah, it should have been Haaland.
I read an argument on Twitter, and it was I don't know why. I was just sitting in bed, probably stoned to be honest, and it was about 500 odd messages, and it was just guys arguing about if Jude Bellingham was the best player in the world. Just there when you mention him, Martin, and I mean the guy is a fantastic player. There's no doubt about it, but come on, he's nowhere near the best player in the world.
He's a Rolls Royce player. He's getting there.
Eventually. In a couple of years' time, definitely. I'd class him as maybe one of the best young players in the world.
Aye,
but you can't put him up there as one of the best ever to play the game and stuff like that. Some of the stuff you see on that social media and that.
Did you know? Sorry, Martin, on you go.
I was going to say, no, you can't put him up there with one of the best in the world. You can't say he's on the level of Messi or Ronaldo or Maradona or Pele yet. But that guy is class. He's scalesy, but see, beyond the scales, 2 years ago, I said he was got to be some player, and he never got a chance under Ange. So, to be fair, the point about Turnbull not being fancied by Ange doesn't really matter to me, or Scales, because Rodgers was got to sell him in the summer. This was a class player.
I'm loving Liam Scales in it. I'll be honest, I'm not him and Matt O'Reilly. I'm loving the two of them.
Mate, I was a big fan 2 years ago. I said when Scales signed, and it was actually on another podcast at the time. I said, look, this Scales guy is amazing. I've seen him play. And to be fair, I actually play Scales at left back rather than Taylor. And I'd rather see Taylor at defensive mid, because the balls that Scales can hit into the goal is unreal sometimes.
Look at his goal
King's
against
speech
Rangers.
today. JFP's want to talk about the King's speech today.
it's off.
I don't know. But is that no a film?
I couldn't tell you, mate. I don't get to see it unless it's Disney Channel. No, I hope you're right, Martin, about Scales. I wouldn't have been sad to see him or O'Reilly go before the start of this season. But now, I think Scales and O'Reilly are two of the first names in the team sheet. And I just think he's not let himself down in any of the games he's played, whether it's domestically or in Europe. So long may they continue the progression. And you think where he was at last season with playing with Aberdeen to where he is now, he's got away playing in the Champions League at Atletico. So it's a testament to the guy's character. So long may it continue.
Every single test that we've put in front of Scales, he's passed it with flying colours.
Yep.
As I said earlier on, I honestly think Scales has performed better in the Champions League than Carter Vickers has.
Aye, you can argue with that. You just want to try and see him score for a corner for us. I can't remember the last time we seen somebody score directly for a corner for us. So I think my money'd been him to score.
On Scales?
Aye. He's the only one that can attack the ball.
Our set pieces are abysmal.
Aye.
We've said that, and we've said that for seasons. Haven't we? We've said that for about 2 or 3 years when we started doing this podcast. Celtic's free kicks, set pieces, corner kicks, and everything, they're absolutely shocking. It's the kind of stuff you'd expect schoolboys to be doing.
Just hidden hope.
Yeah, but that's down to the coaching. I think that's not down to the players. Turnbull can hit a corner. Palmer can hit a corner and hit free kicks. Scales.
Palmer's free kicks is one of the things that caught my attention, Martin. His free kicks in that on YouTube.
Scales. Watch Scales goals when he played in Ireland, by the way, but free kicks as well. These players aren't players that can't hit free kicks. It's due to our coaching and our style of play. We need to change our style of play, and our fans don't like it because they say it's a Celtic way. We need to change a little bit and grow with modern times. Our set plays aren't great. We need a coach in who's actually an attacking coach, who actually the amount of chances that we waste, that we create and waste, we need a coach in, an actual striking coach, with somebody who is tactical on that side.
They need a bit of variety as well, rather than just every corner. Or half the times they take a short corner when the centre backs are up, and all of a sudden they don't even cross it in. Other times it's just a nameless fang into the middle of the box. Like, what's wrong with a variety of trying to ping the ball to if Turnbull is playing? We all know he's got a good peg at him. Trying to drill a low ball out to Turnbull at the edge of the box, outside the box, and let him have a crack from a corner. You know what I mean? Or just vary it up a little bit, rather than, as you said, we haven't scored a header. So why, if we're struggling at that, why not, try and vary it? Even the free kicks. Why is it always just a nameless lash at the ball? Why not try and maybe slide one down the side of the wall, someone running off it, like the way the Dutch scored against Argentina in the last minute in the World Cup? Something different. Like, all you need to do is, if it comes off once in a game, it could be a goal. Like, just try something different.
Right, see what you're saying here, Martin, but do you think that we should have that kind of coach in? I'm a great believer. See, for like set pieces and free kicks, let players try stuff in the training ground. Do you know what I mean? Spend time. Let players off. We'll try this, we'll try that, and see if it comes off a few. Do you know what I mean? Rather than just sitting diagrams, you do this, you do that. Just let players try and kind of express what they want to do a few times, and let's see what happens. Rather than just constantly trying to do the same thing hour and hour again and hope you get a different outcome to it.
See, I personally think that's fine. But coaching, having somebody of that class in your actual team to coach and say, look, try this, try that, try different systems. Somebody who's actually done it, an attacking coach. And I'm surprised with Q. This isn't happened.
I was just going to mention him.
He's been fantastic, but we also need somebody an actual striker who put the ball in the net time after time, who's actually got a decent ounce of coaching to come in and actually go, you're missing this chance, you're missing this chance. If you look, we should be at a 50% strike rate. We're somewhere in the region of 2-3% of chances created. We'd nearly, I don't know how many, 20, 30 shots at goal against the team on Wednesday night, and we get 3 goals.
Mm-hmm.
That for a club, that's only 3%. For a club of our size and the amount we spend in our league, that should have been 7-8-0. I'm sorry, but that's just not right. You need another coach in there to teach them how to put the ball in the net. If they can't teach them, then move the players on.
But your last year, Martin.
Could a coach teach Kyogo to be a better striker at his age?
Aye, certainly. You get a coach and he's got the natural finishing ability. So you get a coach who can teach him positional play and how to teach up and how to play. And within the system, he could be a fantastic player, even at his age. Look at Lubo Marabchik. He became a better player the older he got because he learned different things in different leagues. So there's better players. Look at, you say Gigi went to America. He was really poor up until he went to that team in Holland and then was great. And he learned how to play in Holland, how to play with the Dutch style. So you can definitely teach an old player new tricks.
No, I'd rather, I've said it before, see Kyogo, though he scored plenty of goals in that, I don't think you can put him, I'm not even going to even say the likes of Henke or that. I've said that I don't think you can put him in the even same brackets like Lee Griffiths and Gary Hooper. I don't think he's that out and out goal sniffing kind of striker. The way Celtic play, they need.
For me, Kyogo felt like a Sinclair. Kyogo should be playing half a wing. That's what he played in Japan.
We've spoke about that. We have. I mean, I've said it if we signed him, I wanted to kind of see him playing like a number 10 the cam role with that, Martin. I've said that all along for the very first game I've watched him. But as you said, he spent his career in Japan in the left wing. He's
right wing, actually.
Was it a right wing? Well, he's just for me, he's not got that kind of striker's instinct that like say even Gary Hooper and Lee Griffiths had. And I'll say it again as well. Although he scored a hell of a barrel load of goals for he signed, Gary Hooper and Lee Griffiths would have scored a hell of a lot more than like an Ange team. See, like Ange's team, the 2 year with Ange there, they'd have scored a barrel load of goals under Ange in that team.
I totally agree with you on that. And I'm not saying Lee Griffiths by any stretch of the imagination is a great player. You know how to put the goal in it, the ball in the net, and his strike rate was up phenomenal for what he was. I mean, he was only a couple of million, for God's sake. But you imagine and then Kyogo running in behind. No. I'm surprised that hasn't been played. The only reason is because Maeda runs a bit like a headless chicken. What? That's the only.
I know. It's weird, but we keep saying it every week. He didn't have any in the team apart from running about like headless chicken, but we seem to need it. We seem to need that. We seem to need him in there, didn't we?
That's just trying to control his first touch.
I think Maeda is in there to cover the lack of legs or the lack as a central defensive midfielder. That's the issue. Most of our issues come back to not having a central defensive midfielder to cover the back line.
That's Martin joined my fan club tonight with that statement alone, I think, lads.
So
I've been like a broken record.
Midfielder.
We have one, and Taylor. I hate to say it, I seen Taylor as a young boy playing. Because I did watch a lot of youth football back in the day. Because I did like I said, I played a lot of Championship Manager back in the days. And to be honest, the players that I've seen play at central defensive mid in our team are unreal. We've got Awa. The guy is technically good. He's strong. He can play off the ball. That's our Korean guy. Yep. We haven't seen much of him. He's a rough. Don't get me wrong. I'd like to see him out on loan for the last part of the season to get him ready for next season. But he's big. But again, I think Taylor's the perfect answer for a defensive midfield. All Welsh. And these are two players that can play there. And I hate to say it, I'd actually look maybe at resting Calmac 1 and 2 games and keeping them fresh for Europe as our captain, and then maybe using Turnbull or Home. And same with Matt O'Reilly, these guys cannot play game in, game out. It's a completely different game and levels. You need a fitness when you get to that level to where it used to be, where guys played 50, 60 games a season and had no issues. You can play maybe 30, 35 games at these types of levels, and then you need rested.
I wouldn't be against Calmac getting a wee spell out, Martin. Definitely no. I think he's maybe needing it just to get yourself back up to speed and all the rest of it. But I've always liked the look of Iwata. I think he's very comfortable with the ball. He's strong, and you never ever see him giving the ball away. So I think he'd be ideal to slot in there. But you'd know what to play with CDM and domestically. Or I wouldn't really like to see us play with CDM domestically. And I don't think with a 4-3-3, it's the ideal formation to be playing with a CDM. So I think he would try to change his whole formation if he was going to be playing with one.
But see, like when we're talking about like a CDM, well, I don't know what you use. I mean, I'm not talking about like just like a kind of a hatchet man ball winner. I'm talking about like a ball playing CDM. You know what I mean? Like we spoke about earlier on, Lewis Ferguson could have slotted IFP. He's there, IFP. We're talking about Lewis Ferguson again. He would have been ideal in that role because he could do everything. But so it's not really an out and out like CDM, like old hard man, that kind of guy we want. We want somebody that can obviously play a bit. But
Guys, Taylor's... Sorry, mate.
Well, I was just going to say, Cal Mack can play a bit, but he can't do the tackling side yet. But if we could get somebody that could tackle and pass the ball about the way McGregor does, it would be ideal. But again, could we afford a player like that? As Terence keeps kind of going on when we speak about the players we need, because it would cost a hell of a lot of money. But we had a Lewis Ferguson, even getting back to you like a John McGinn, that kind of player.
Guys, we've got that in our own use. We have got that. Greg Taylor, honestly, he's passing. He might not pass worldly passes, but he keeps it simple, and he's already playing an inverted midfield role. So he should be able to slot in. And look at some of Welsh's ability on the ball as well. He can ping worldly passes for his youth days. It's no we need to go and spend money. Iwata as well. You look at the stuff in Japan and his range of passing. So we've got technically gifted CDMs. It's no anything about no playing them, about them no being there. It's just they don't get played. And I don't think Rodgers is the man for it, because I think he's just trying to appease fans because of his history. I think it was a mistake, and that's due to what it is.
Who would you went for, Mark? Why don't you go, Ter?
Sorry, I was just going to say there, Martin, that's a fair point, but in saying that, the Spurs manager never played with a CDM either. They played Callum Mack in that role, and he had Iwata and all these guys. I'm not disagreeing with you now, but the problem is once Callum Mack is there, he's going to play technically in that role, even though he's nowhere near a CDM. But once he's there, he's going to play in that role, and that's the problem. If you are going to try a Welsh, or you're going to bring Taylor into that position, or a Iwata, who I really do like, I like Holm as well. I need those guys who play that position. But Celtic play a guy who's not a CDM in that role, in a sense, like. So once Callum Mack is there, no one's going to get it. No one's going to get a sniff at it. That's the problem. I agree with you to what you're saying, but that's the problem with Callum Mack there. Yeah,
just on one way, and he didn't need to play one domestically, and everybody's right in saying that. But when it came to Europe, we get scalped, we got embarrassed in the Champions League with Ange. Let's not sing any graces. Bodo Glimpse was an embarrassment, and he allowed it to happen. So I'm not a big fan of what Ange did. He only dominated domestically because Rangers were weak, and are still weak.
But the only thing I would say is, to follow up on what Mark said, is the CDM role is nearly taken too much. As like Mark said, it's the old style hatchet man at back there. But like, for argument's sake, come back before he left, when Beaton had to come in, he did the game well. You're asking about a guy who reading the game is good and who's a good passer of the ball, not necessarily a hatchet man, but he can help and cover. It's McGregor just can't do that for me, whereas Iwata can do that, Holm can do that. I trust you. You watched a lot of football and stuff that you know that obviously Greg Taylor can, and you're saying Stephen Welsh is very good at it. But I wouldn't have an issue with saying the CDM type person even when we play in Scotland. It's not a CDM. It's just someone dictating the play, someone still giving a little bit of cover. Because if Celtic are having the wingers or the fullbacks bombing forward, I don't see a problem with a fella just dictating the midfield play, and if it's a CDM that they call it, then so be it. Like when Beaton was there and he was hiding a bit of cover. I don't see a problem with Celtic playing someone like that in the domestic football, and certainly in Europe they need it, and they've needed it for how many years now, and we've said it. And as long as they continue not to bother to play that position, they'll continue to have the results that they had last year and this year.
Yeah, domestically though, we don't need that. That's what Taylor does. So it's in Europe we actually need to sort of get that sorted out. Domestically, Taylor, if you watch, fills in that defensive mid role on the left hand side where Calmac pushes forward. That's part of the inverted fullback. And to be fair, with the teams we come up against, low block 90% of the time, we don't need it. He can go forward and score goals.
The majority of teams in Scotland, let's be honest, it's Carter Vickers and Welsh that are playing as a kind of CDMs and pushing the game on, because most of these teams play the 10 men behind the ball. Do you know what I mean? Domestically, it's just McGregor and Welsh play that. McGregor and Welsh, McGregor and Scales play the CDM roles and try to push on the passes. But again, even in Scotland, you've got to tweak the game to get the players used to playing a certain way. You know, when it comes to Europe, it's just a couple of tweaks that you just keep. It's the same tactics, the same system, but just one or two tweaks, and that makes all the difference. I mean, your CDM was a guy that, if your left back got caught out of position, he was able to cover it. If your right back was caught upfield, he was able to cover it. McGregor, even in Europe, I've said it for years. Every game McGregor plays in Europe, I expect him a yellow card. For a simple reason, he cannot tackle. I go back to that big, who was it? That Mudrick played with
Shakhtar.
Was it Shakhtar? Right, but there was a goal that we conceded with him the other year, and it was a million % McGregor's fault, because he just didn't have the legs. If he'd made the tackle, he'd probably go and get a red card. And that's always what it is. And even you look at, even in the Derby game and stuff like that, McGregor, you can't rely on McGregor to tackle, go a 50-50. And to play in that position, to play in that position at Celtic, for me, that's no good enough. That's one of the weakest parts of his game, is actual 50-50 tackles and just winning the ball.
Calmac was brilliant, is playing on the left-hand side with Brown, but Brown was the one that had to dig and had that nous to go in and wind players up. You need that. That's what Atletico did to us last night. They had players in players' faces, being at chat and look at their bench. The minute Maeda's challenge went in, every one of them was up there getting stick. That's why they got the red card. It's literally the fact that our team we're better than this. We don't get involved. No, you need to get involved in the nitty gritty, and that is just the way it is. Guys, I'm going to have to leave it for the night because work's rung me and I've had to go in and cover somebody for a couple of hours.
Oh, be bothered, Martin. We'll be waiting on the next 5 minutes anyway. Aye, brilliant, Martin. Honest to God, I put a wee message on the private chat to get in touch with us, mate. You're more than welcome anytime, mate.
I've got your email, mate. The next time I'm on, I'll get all the Discord set up and that, guys. All right,
okay, good man.
Good speaking to you. Aye, brilliant. Honestly, brilliant. Thanks a lot, Martin. Good night. Good night.
All right, cheers, mate.
Cheers, buddy. Bye-bye.
Wee breath of fresh air, that, wasn't it?
No half play. Somebody that talks shades rather than us bambling on a lot of shite. Apart from you two.
Thanks, boy.
Wee Hornswoggle doesn't talk shite.
No.
We talk a lot of shite, don't worry about it. That's my words.
Thanks for that tonight. It's been emotional.
Oh, we're not finished yet.
Well, you know, I thought that was that, right?
No, just not for a couple of minutes. Just what about the weekend? What do you think for the weekend?
3-0. I'll go for.
No European hangover then?
Nah, that shit's a lot of nonsense, mate.
I don't buy into it either.
Nah, we're back at Celtic Park. We've got to go for it. 3-0. I'd go for. Definitely a couple of changes after the weekend, I think. After the midweek game. So no, I'll go with. I would go with 3-0. What with yourself?
Oof. After watching last night, I'd take 1-0.
Aye.
But
Aye,
I'm
I've
expecting a reaction. All that European hangover, man, that does my boxing. I know, Jerry, it really does all that part.
Aye, I'm
And
the
if
same.
players are tired, and that again, I don't know. I thought John Hartson was a bit of a redneck on that commentary last night.
I don't like the listening to him. I know he's a legend. I loved him as a player, but I just don't like listening to the big man.
I mean, it's like, Celtic players are they're out in their feet. They've gave everything. Is there a problem with the fitness then? You get what I mean? It's like, you never heard that with Ange, did you? Or they're out in their feet and stuff like that.
No, listen, but we went down to 10 men before against them. It's all in the head. We had chucked it after the third goal. That's what it was. It doesn't come down to fitness. Sometimes it's mentality.
Definitely mentality.
Where Bobby asking is Martin Greg Taylor's agent.
I must admit, I wouldn't fancy seeing Greg Taylor at CDM.
No, but obviously he's seen him and thinks he can do a job, and it's all about opinions, you know what I mean?
No,
But
definitely, mate, 100%.
Different guys like that owned, you know what I mean?
Yep, 100%.
And Des earlier on as well, big up Des for coming on too. What about you, Terence? What's your verdict for the weekend?
You just have to win. Whatever scoreline, they just have to win. I mean, you can't be using an excuse like, look, they're professional footballers. They played a match Tuesday night. They're not playing again till Saturday. He was on in Spain. It wasn't the other side of the world.
Correct.
They're home. They're not probably. They probably didn't train today. They probably came in and did a bit of. Probably had the day off. Whatever. They'll be back doing light sessions during the week. Get a grip on themselves, like.
Yep.
They couldn't be tired, like. Sweet Jesus, like. They played a soccer match. That's all they played, like football match. They got the arse baiting off them. So if I was any one of those players, I'd be coming out embarrassed, and I'd be coming out to prove a point.
Uh-huh.
And coming out and make it.
Would your team be? Would you make changes? What would you go for?
Well, see, the difference is what I would do and what he's going to do are worlds apart.
Well, that seems to be a kind of go-to every time we are sat, innit? We'll mix it in then. What would you go for? What do you think he'd go for?
Well, if it was me, I would play Hart. The back four would pretty much stay the same. Hart, barring any injuries, Hart, Taylor, Scales, Vickers, AJ. I would be playing Holm or Awata, one of those two. I'd probably Holm in the holding midfielder role. I'd be playing O'Reilly. I'd probably give O a start up front. I think he deserves a go. And the problem is you're kind of limited in the winger side of it. You'll probably still play Palma, and you'll probably wind up playing Maeda because there isn't. Or maybe Yang instead of Maeda. Palma one wing, Yang the other wing. Who did I say? I said Holm, O'Reilly, and I don't know who else you play there with him, to be honest. I wouldn't be playing McGregor. Maybe they'll play Turnbull, I don't know, but I would. Yeah, I don't know. He'd probably play Turnbull, Awata, and O'Reilly, and O up front, and Palma and Yang on the wings, just to freshen up something different. But he's not going to do that. He's pretty much going to say this, do the same team, like.
But those are 11 players too. Many players was that?
He said, what was it, 11? I said, I only named 2 players. I said, I don't want to do.
There's about 12, 15 players here.
Where did you go to school?
You said about 5 midfielders.
I didn't. I said fucking 2 boys. I said 1 or 2. I said either Holm or Awata. Fucking clown, you.
Yep. Right, so who would you start then?
Not talking anymore.
There's no rugby.
Okay, proper sports anyway, Bobby.
What would you play, Jerry? What's your team? Well, obviously, what's your team would you think you'll go for? Okay, the defence kind of sets itself, doesn't it?
Aye, back 4, They're the same. The keeper, obviously, same. Then I think he will play Turnbull. I can't see him drop McGregor. However, I would drop McGregor and I'd be playing Home. I think Home's got to get minutes, and I like the look of him. Bernardo's hot and cold, had a good game, then a not so good game. I would be playing O'Reilly, so I'd go O'Reilly, Awata, and Home if it's me. However, he'll go O'Reilly, McGregor, and Turnbull, and then up front I would be giving O a chance with Yang and Palmer on the wings. However, he'll go with Maida, Kyogo, and Palmer.
Be careful now, Jerry. He's going to start pulling you about the number of people you called out there now.
No, I
He's
don't.
going to start it out.
No, I think Turnbull will start, but I've got a heavy, sneaky suspicion that Forrest is going to start.
Oh, Jesus.
I do. And I'd like to see you start, but I don't think that's going to happen. Kyogo will probably start, but I've got a heavy, sneaky suspicion that Forrest's going to start.
What's making you think that? Just the same as we thought Ralston the other week and he was on? Well, he's going to need to get some game time into his legs because he's going to be playing the Champions League for us.
Yeah, I was thinking that, yeah. Oh, he's done one.
With the good cares in that and the suspensions for the next game. But so I think Forrest will start. I mean, again, it's a bit, for me, it's a bit like Turnbull. Forrest, but I mean, it's like we all kind of mump and groan about Forrest, but he just seems to be in there. Rodgers seems to like him, didn't he?
Aye.
I mean, he's never going to be the first name in the team sheet, but it just seems to be a player like Rodgers seems to like. Is it back to because the last time you see it, he knows he can trust him, he knows he'll.
Well, he doesn't. Well, he's like a crab, Mark. He can only go sideways.
Oh, I agree with you, Terence. I wouldn't have him near the team.
Like if you're a full-back marking him, you know he's never going to try to go outside you. Every time he gets the ball, he passes it inside. Every time. I said he's like a crab. He can only go sideways. Like he can't go forward at all. Like. I mean, he offers very little. Like he was a great servant to the club, but he offers very, very little. Like.
And that is really all you can put. For me, it is. I'm not slagging the guy off. I mean, he puts that 15 seasons in a row he scored or something, right? The stats, they kind of speak for himself. But for me, it should have a player that's been at Celtic for that length of time as an attacking player out in the wing should have more than just over 100 goals. Do you get what I mean? When you look at the numbers,
oh, I should have hit. Should have had one.
Aye, do you get what I mean by that, Terence? And not putting it down that much because he's been here for donkey's years. He's won a stack of medals in that, fair play to him. But for me, it should have been a hell of a lot better player than he actually became.
Oh yeah, listen, it's a very poor ratio return for seasons and games played with goals scored. Like, so I mean, you're only a Celtic team that predominantly got 75% possession, if not more, in most games in Scotland. Like, you know what I mean? Create probably anywhere from 12 to 20 chances in a game. Like, you know what I mean? That's a poor return. I know people say it's 100 goals, but 100 goals in 15 years.
It's not setting the head on fire, is it?
No, not at all.
I mean, what did you say? He had 2 or 3 right exceptional seasons, wasn't it, when Patrick Roberts was snapping at his heels?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was it.
But definitely, I can see him start. I can definitely see him starting at the weekend. And I mean, as I say, well, obviously the defence kind of speaks for itself. And McGregor's going to start. I think Turnbull will start. And it's just really, but defence, but midfield kind of gets to be a bit like defence because you know that McGregor's going to start. So it takes away one position to even try and guess it, really, doesn't it? You know, if Mattarelli's fit, he's going to start. So for me, there's only one other position in the midfield that's up for grabs. And I think that'll probably be Turnbull at the weekend. and the front three, he'll go with the same old, but with Forrest in the right. Kyogo, O's not going to start or Kyogo, I don't think.
No, I don't think so. But again, he needs minutes, and he's been doing well when he's come on.
Oh, he seems to be. It seems to be just.
Was that sorry?
It seems to be pretty much the same 11 every week if they're available. It does very rarely changes.
It's predictable getting into it. I mean, it got like a bit like this with Ange, didn't it?
Aye.
It was very much the same.
But I mean, it's like if X player plays, we're going to play this certain way, but if Y player plays, we'll play another way. But it just seems to be if everybody's fit, they'll play. It's just predictable week in and week out, and nothing's going to really change it that way.
Well, that makes it a lot easier for the opposition, doesn't it?
Well, like Atletico Madrid last night, they out it. You know what I mean? Ripped us apart.
But that with what's his name, Palmer and Maida been unavailable for a European game, it gives him the chance to change formation. He could go to that 4-2-3-1 and switch it up.
With Forrest and Mikey Johnson.
No, at all. No, he would have.
No, but who's going to be the wingers? With Palmer and Maida.
If you're going 4-2-3-1, you would have McGregor and Awata. You've still got Home, O'Reilly, and Yang, and then you could have Kyogo or O up front. I know it's far fetched, but they've still got enough to do that rather than play two wasted jerseys in Forrest and Johnson.
But why couldn't he play 3-5-2 and have Farr or Alistair Johnson as a wing back, and I don't know if Taylor could play the wing back.
There's possibilities, definitely.
And have you can have your genuine holding midfielder in there as protection as well if he needs be to cover.
Yep.
Because Alistair Johnson will get up and down get up and down the wing all day long.
Even go 4-5-1 against these teams, which is like just basically a more defensive 4-2-3-1. Do you know what I mean? But you imagine imagine you're on the right hand side of the midfield, you've got like AJ and Ralston. You know what I mean? Then you've got the three midfielders. So you're only playing with one up front basically, but when you're attacking, you change the formation and your forward players get forward. But when you're pinned back, you're well set up to defend the ball.
No, I agree.
I know it's not attractive sounding, it's like a 4-5-1, but it could be something that Celtic could probably maybe look at.
Aye, for sure.
Yeah, but it's at the end of the day, Mark, it's about results, so it doesn't really matter what the formation is. You're still to get a result, and if it means 4-5-1 gets a result, then so be it.
Yep.
The other ones aren't working.
1-0 or 5-0, it doesn't matter as long as you get a win.
Yeah, exactly. I would like to see just before you go. I'd like to see Celtic try a formation in a league game before they go into the Champions League game. I know that sounds a bit strange.
Mix up. If there's like 2 or 3-0 up my game terms, mix up and try a new formation that we're going to use in Europe and get the players just to do that. Aye, definitely.
Yeah. There's no point just going into a European game and all of a sudden trying to change something and saying, okay, we're going to play 3 at the back now, we're going to play wing backs, and I want you to do this. And players are good, don't get me wrong, but if they're not playing the formations all along, it might take them time. Whereas if you're doing it in a game and you're winning, or you say, right, we're playing whoever it is at home today, in my head, I'm going to play 3-5-2 against Lazio. I'm playing 3-5-2 today, and this is what I want us to do. And you're practicing it all week, and you play it against St. Mirren at home or Dundee at home, and then you go to Lazio and you play the same way. You might get a result, but at least try it. This continue doing the 4-3-3s. I don't know. It's not working.
So into first scene of madness is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And that's basically
exactly,
now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right, I'll call that quits. Do you get anything else
Okie
do you nothing else to say, Jenny? No?
No, I'm hunky dory. Just thanks
Right.
for having us again, buddy.
No bother. Brilliant. Thanks
Good
very
talk
much
to
for
you,
coming in,
Ter.
Jerry.
You too, Jerry.
Ter.
All the best,
Always
guys.
good to have you. Always good to have you on, Terence. It's good to see you're keeping better than that. Big up Martin and Des that came on as well. Thanks very much for coming on. Everybody that listens back, we hope you enjoyed it. All the guys in the live chat, all the people that listen back to it. Remember on YouTube, if you know how, leave a comment and hit the like button. And if you know how to do it on Spotify, and that help us share it on that. Hail, hail, lads. Good night and God bless.